Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to BYJU'S 9th and 10th grade channel. I'm your teacher Aishwarya and I welcome you to yet another amazing class with us on this Abhyas series where today we are going to be solving 30 super important questions in our class today. So I hope that all of you are super duper excited. So very quickly students, please do let me know if my audio, my video and my screen and whatever I'm writing on the screen is visible to all of you. If it is, give me a quick thumbs up. So can we make me a little big in the beginning and then we can make me small? So can we do that? Good evening all of you, Divyanshu, Saksham, Yamini, Aditya, Ashwi, I can see Mahesh, Preeta, Naina, Aditya, alone boy. Who's this alone boy? Good evening, all of you. Good evening. I hope that all of you are excited for this class. Now, see, we're going to be solving 30 important questions, which means that today we are going to be doing BYQs. We are going to be solving extremely high competency-based questions. Then, of course, along with this, we are also going to be solving some important direct description-based questions, which is why today your class, with guarantee, I will tell you that this particular class is going to be super duper helpful for all of you, because I know that your pre-boards are coming and you're going to get a mixture of questions. So today we will cater to all kinds of questions that are going to be there for all of you, right? So very quickly students, please do let me know if you guys are, if everything is good to go. Now, of course, a quick reminder to all of my students who are here live and who are probably watching this video much later, who are probably watching or coming to this class after watching some of my older sessions. Today, I am still recovering, which means that I will have a little bit of reduced energy in class. But at the same time, I am also advised not to stress out my voice too much. So please don't mind if I take some breaks in between, if I also give you guys 1 or 2 water breaks, because I'm not supposed to exert my voice because my throat condition has come back. So please don't mind about the voice, but if you can put that aside, I'm all yours, and today we're going to be solving some interesting questions. So now we can make me small on screen. Yes? Okay. So what can you expect in our class today? See, today we are going to be solving 30 questions. And no, today is not a mentee, because see, in biology, which is your biggest pain point? Your biggest pain point is that all of you need to know how to write answers, right? Which is why today we are going to be having a combination of subjective questions and we will be doing objective questions together, right? So we will be doing both of this together. Now next up, we will be having 30 questions and we will do it chapter wise, which means that we have a total of 5 chapters. So from each chapter, we are going to be solving 6 questions. Now you must be thinking, Arey ma'am, 6 questions only, what is there? Trust me, today each question is going to be some easy, some difficult. So buck up, because we are going to be doing a lot of different varieties of questions together. Now next up, along with this, when you are attending this class, make it a point you have your notebooks and textbooks ready with you, have your stationery ready with you, because you will have to solve some of these questions. Have your water bottles ready, and of course be in a quiet place to study. Yes? So very, very important. This right here is important. Now we're going to be doing 30 questions, and like I said, we're doing subjective. So we will have case-based questions. We will have your section D questions, which are going to be 5 mark. So minimum today, I will be taking 2 hours of class. On a bare minimum, I need 2 hours. And we will be doing all of this, right? Now, if we are at the exam season time, which means that many of you here might have just started studying. You must be thinking, ma'am, I've just opened my textbook and realized that, array, all this while I thought it's okay to not study biology, but I need to start studying, which is why in case if you are going to get started, right? In case if you are going to get started with your academics and you want to know how to start studying, make this flow chart for yourself. Now students, from what we have observed from last year and the year before that, things come directly off NCERT. So first and foremost, studying your and going through NCERT textbook is important. Go through your exemplar questions because that is also important. Now once you have gone through these two, try to solve the sample papers, go through your practice papers and go through BYQs. Now in case if you get stuck here and you're thinking, "Arey ma'am, how will I get my concepts clarified? How am I going to, get a certain piece of concept done?" Hit the subscribe button on our channel because as you all know, we have the best concept explanation. We may not have, of course, it's in English, but we have the best visualization and the best concept explanation. So watch these two side by side in whatever order you prefer. Either you can watch the one shot first or read the textbook, or what I prefer is that read the textbook first, then watch the one shot, so that side by side you can mark the important pointers. So everybody follow this trend for your science papers and your science chapters. It will definitely help you out. And no, there is no mentee. We will have a separate mentee session for the same. Now, what are the chapters that we are going to be covering today? We are going to be covering life processes, control coordination, how do organisms reproduce, and our environment. Yes, Karthik, only 64 more days, which means you should pay attention and not spam, right? That is very important. Next up, students, one more thing that I will tell all of you is that in today's class, I will also give you a chapter-wise analysis, right? Now, what is a chapter-wise analysis? Over a period of time, we have analyzed all the questions that have come in your reference books, in your additional, books that are there for supplemental practice, in your practice paper, sample paper, board paper. Sabhi we have analyzed and we have realized some concepts are very important. Some topics are very important. So today I will also give you a list of this as well so that you can mark it in your textbook, right? Side by side, we will mark it. So very quickly, everybody, do not forget to have your textbooks open with you. Yes? ठीक है. Now let's get started with the first chapter. So the first set of questions are going to be from life processes. Now we know that life processes is a very big chapter. Now if you look at the important topics, we know that importance of life process, experiments on photosynthesis, and of course the diagrams based on autotrophic mode of nutrition, digestion in humans, role of enzymes, respiration में anaerobic respiration, along with that flowchart of respiration, transport of plants and transport in animals. Double circulation is important. Last but not the least, human excretory system. Now you will tell me, ma'am, ये तो सब पूरा का पूरा chapter है, but you know that this is going to be important because this chapter में से is a make or break. You can either get maximum number of questions from this chapter or you can get the least number, which is why these topics you will get MCQ based, 2 markers, 3 markers, and your 5 mark questions from life process. Case based barely comes from this, but please focus. These are the type of questions you will get from life process. So everybody, every chapter, like I said, I will give you this analysis and what type of questions will come, and based on this we will get started. Okay? Okay. So question number 1, everybody, this has come in the year 2020 and this right here is a 5 mark question, right? So the first one is, why is nutrition necessary for human beings? 1 mark. What causes movement of food inside the alimentary canal? 1 mark. Why is the small intestine in herbivores longer than in carnivores? 2 mark, because you have to do comparison between herbivores and carnivores. Last but not the least, what will happen if mucus is not secreted? 1 mark, right? So let's get started with the first one, where you need to tell me, why is nutrition necessary for the human body? Yes? What would be the answer behind this? Exactly, right? Why is nutrition necessary? What is nutrition? We know that nutrition is nothing but the mode of intake of food and its utilization. Why do we need food? We require food in order to carry out our day-to-day activities. And in order to carry out day-to-day activities, we require energy, right? So in order to obtain energy, we need nutrition. And along with this, we also need it for growth and repair. So today, as I will also tell you what are the important questions, I will also tell you how to write the answers. If it is a 1 mark question, you only need to write one line. I have given you some extra pointers. And preferably when you are doing science, always write it in points and underline the key words, because when I am correcting your paper, it makes it easy for me, right? So which is why main 2 pointers are for energy. Why we need the energy you need to write, and what else do we need it for. Yes? So 1 mark for the same. Now next up, what do we have? What causes the movement of food inside the alimentary canal? What causes movement? Can you tell me? What is it that causes movement across? Exactly. Very good, Sakshi. Yes. Peristalsis, right? So we know that the walls of the alimentary canal can contract and relax alternatively, and we call this movement as the peristaltic movement. Write it down in a full sentence. Don't give me essay. I mean, now of course in the live chat you can give me the answers, but write it down. So we see that peristaltic movement allows for the movement of food across the alimentary canal. So 1 mark here for writing that the peristaltic movement is the alternative contraction and relaxation of the alimentary canal, which results in a wave-like motion. So keywords need to be there. Yes? Now, why is the small intestine in herbivores longer than in carnivores? PDFs will be made available to all of you on the Telegram channel, and as a matter of fact, if you want chapter specific PDFs, chapter notes, important questions chapter wise, in the description of this video and in the comments of this video, once the session is done, a link will be available, a clickable link which will take you to our website where all of it is available, right? Divyanshi, you don't need to write 3 points. You just need to write 1 point for 1 mark, right? Now here this is for 2 marks, which means that why is the small intestine of herbivores longer than in carnivores? So we know that herbivores primarily eat plants which are rich in cellulose. So cellulose takes a longer time to digest. Thereby they have longer small intestines to facilitate this. While carnivores on the other hand eat meat that need to be processed quickly by the body. Hence they have a shorter alimentary canal. So 1 mark for telling me what happens in herbivores, what happens in carnivores, right? So you can't only write about herbivores and leave it. You need to write about carnivores also. Last but not the least, what will happen if mucus is not secreted by the gastric glands? Yes? What will happen? Manju, Arna, Bacha, all of you pay attention. Who is this alone girl? Or alone boy, alone girl? You guys are not alone. You have me with you. So pay attention. Okay? Very good. Exactly. Stomach becomes acidic in nature. Passion gaming. Stomach ulcers. Okay. Yes. I know, right? See, today the kind of questions that I'm giving you would have either come in your exams or will come. For sure. Okay, very good. So here what is the case? We see that gastric glands that are there secrete HCl, they secrete your important enzymes that are there, and of course they secrete mucus. Now what is the function of mucus? It is to protect the inner lining of the stomach, right? It is to protect the inner lining of the stomach from the harmful HCl. So in the absence of mucus, what will happen? HCl will harm, it will erode, it will corrode the inner lining of the stomach, leading towards acidity and ulcers. So you can't just tell me, ma'am, it will damage. क्या होगा वो भी लिखना पड़ेगा, right? So you need to write both. You can't just tell me, ma'am, it will get damaged. What will it lead to? You will get 1 mark for the same. So see, what do you understand from all the answers that I told you, right? I told you that whenever you are writing, underlining key points, structuring your answers is also important, right? So when you structure your answer well, your examiner will feel, or it will give an impression to the examiner that you know your information. You are very thorough with what you are writing and you are confident. So you also want to present your personality on the paper. And how do you present that personality? By structuring your answers well and underlining the important pointers. So there you go, all of you. You have got 5 marks with this question, right? Now let's move on to our question number 2. This is a 2-mark question which has come in the year 2023. Yes? What will happen if the xylem tissue in a plant is removed? Second part is, what would happen if we get injured and it starts bleeding? So 1 mark for each of it. Yes? Now what will happen if xylem is removed in a plant? Don't write in black pen, Chanchal. See, normally what happens, and from what Ankita ma'am has also told me and told all of you, it's preferred that you write in blue pen only, because black pen can give them a feeling that you have either Xeroxed, or sometimes it gives a feeling of cheating, which is why board examiners, because you know Ankita ma'am is a board exam, or she's corrected board papers, you know that they preferred it to be in blue pen only. Yes? Okay, very good. So here, what will happen if xylem tissue is removed? What is the function of xylem? Xylem is responsible for the upward transport, right? Or it is necessary for transport of water and minerals. So if in case, if water and minerals are not transported, what is going to happen? We see that water is needed for photosynthesis, and we know that it's needed for various other processes. So eventually it will cause the fact that there's not enough food produced. It will cause wilting of leaves. Eventually plants will die, right? So this is the longer run. Now next up, what do we see? Yes, plants will die due to dehydration. Dehydration is not the word you should use, but you say can cause wilting, thereby eventually it will die, right? Okay. Now, of course, what else do we see? What would happen if we are injured and we start bleeding, right? What will happen? Gurlal Bacha, it is live, right? It is live. The PDF platform is live. Once the session is done today, I will pin the links in the comments of this video. It will take you there. All of it is live. It is available now. Arna and Arnav, you want to get distracted, you leave the class, come back later and watch. Please don't trouble students who are studying. Very good. So we know that when we are injured and we start bleeding, right? So whenever there is an injury, whether it is an internal injury or an external injury, we know that the type of cells that get affected are our platelets, right? So our platelets will be the ones who will be rushing to response. They will rush to the site of injury and they will block it, or they will form a mesh-like structure, eventually leading to the clotting process, so that not a lot of blood is lost from the body, right? So when you're writing this answer, 1 mark each. So if the xylem is removed, transport of water and minerals of the soil will get affected, thereby leading to wilting of leaves, eventually leading to death of the plant. Now what will happen when we are injured or when we start bleeding? We see that the platelets are the ones which come to the part, right? They are the ones which come rushing. So we see that you will get 1 mark for mentioning platelets and how they result in clotting. Mayurakshi, what about WBC? WBCs are for defense. So they are the ones which fight against pathogens, right? ठीक है. So 1 mark for the same, totally you will get 2 marks. Yes? Awesome. Now let's move on to question number 3. How is the opening and closing of stomata regulated? 2 mark question. This has also come in your previous year 2023. This will come as 2 marks. This will come as MCQ. All possible types of questions will come based on this. So super duper important concept. Movement of water, yes. But if it's for 2 marks, how will you write it? Very good, Ashvi. Very good, Shailendra. Passion Gaming. By guard cells. If you write only guard cells, I will give you only 1 mark. Why? Why will I give you only 1 mark if you write only guard cells? Yes, Sakshi, Mahek, again, half mark. Ma'am, aren't they called white blood cells? No, they are called platelets. They are different. Very good, Divyanshu. Yes, exactly. So basically what happens, we know that the opening and closing of stomata is regulated by the movement of guard cells. So we see that due to we see that when the guard cells are turgid, yes? So when the guard cells swell up or they are turgid, we see that influx of water gives them a complete shape. Thereby what happens? We see that the stomata will open, right? But when the water exits out of the guard cells will shrink. Thereby what do we see? We see that when they shrink, there is loss of water. As a result, the guard cells will come close together and they will close the stomata. So in this case, the entry and exit of water facilitates the movement or opening and closing of guard cells. So again, you will get 2 marks. Why? 1 mark for telling me how opening happens. 1 mark for telling me how closing will happen. So you need to tell me both, right? So that's how your marks is going to be bifurcated. Now somebody is asking me, ma'am, what is pus? Pus is that yellowish fluid which consists of dead cells. It includes some of your plasma, right? Whatever is unnecessary and needs to be exited out of the body, that includes pus. Yes? Okay. Now let's move on to question number 4. This is our most popular question that has come in your sample paper, it has come in your practice papers, and most likely it has come in your previous year questions as well. Why is it necessary to separate your oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in mammals and birds? So as you all know, there is a paragraph in your NCERT, right? So if you open the heart structure ka image, so there is an NCERT page where you have the image of the heart here. Just beneath that, there is a paragraph where they have mentioned this. So this particular question, my bet is that this is going to come in one of the sets for your board exam, because I feel like this is most likely going to come. Very good, Soham. Very good, Ashvi. Pavni, it's okay. We are just in question number 4. 26 questions to go. Very good, Divyanshu. Yes, Vansh, Asgar, Rashi. Yes, very good, Ayushman. Very good. Ma'am, how many marks? 3 marks for this question. This will most likely come in section C, right? So this will come here in section C. Yes, Aditya, Blissdom. Ensure proper nutrition? No, right? So why is it necessary to have a separation between deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood? What is the reason? Now, one of the main reasons is point number 1, highly efficient supply, right? High efficient supply of oxygen to different parts of the body. Now, why do we need to have an efficient supply of oxygen? Because we know that we require large amounts of energy, and a large contribution of this energy goes in regulating our body temperature. Now, why do we need to regulate our body temperature? Because mammals and birds come under the category of warm-blooded animals, right? So, we come under the category of warm-blooded animals, which means that we have a fixed or a constant body temperature. Yes, so thereby lot of energy is necessary for regulating or keeping that body temperature fixed. Yes. So when you're writing this, 3 points that you need to write. Separation of right side and left side is necessary for making sure that there is no mixing of your oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Why? For high efficient supply of oxygen. Why do we need it? For high energy needs. What are these high energy needs? To maintain body temperature. If you write the 4 points that I have told you right now, Aram se, your examiner is going to give you 3 marks. Yes, examiner to pakka will give you 3 marks without even thinking. And let me tell you, nice, I would say that for all of it, right, 30 marks in your science paper comes from biology. Aram se, you will be able to score this 30 marks. Yes. Previous session, so we have Gurlal, these are going to be chapter wise notes. So it is irrespective of whether we've done it on YouTube or no. They are handwritten notes that our team has created for all of you for concise revision, because your examinations are coming up, along with which there's a PDF of important questions. So irrespective of what session has happened, when these notes are constant for all of you. Yes. provided we will also be giving you these notes. Yes? Okay. Are we all clear, everyone? Are we all clear? Yes? I know, see, our team is working very hard to make more valuable sessions for all of you, right? We want to make sure that, see, now is the time when, gone are the days when from start to end we keep teaching you over and over. Value add is more important, right? You guys are smart enough to study by yourselves also. But how can we make your life better, right? That is what we need to look at. Khushbu ma'am's class will happen this week. It's just that they are setting up a studio for her where she's experiencing some technical difficulties. So once that is sorted, we will make sure that you will have regular classes, right? Okay. Are we clear? Why is others telling no? Ma'am, where to get? See, the links for those will be available in the comments and in the description. But it will be available only after the live stream. So stay with me till the very end, right? Okay, how to get full marks? Babu, make sure you go through all the concepts. Pay attention in my class today, and it will take you through it will take you to 80%, 90% where you will be clear of getting good marks, right? Okay, I will get to autosomes when I deal with that chapter, so please stay with me, right? Okay. Ma'am, is it the right time to study NCERT thoroughly? Absolutely, it is the right time to study NCERT. So don't worry. Aryan Singh, Aru is paying attention in class. You also come and pay attention, okay? Ma'am, can you take me through this concept once again? Sure, for our friends who are still confused, I will take you through this concept once again. See, if you look at the heart in mammals, like say humans, mammals are basically those who give birth, right? So we look at humans, lion, tiger, whatever it is, and along with that births. We know that we have a 4-chambered heart which is separated into the right side and the left side. Now they're asking, why is it there's separation of right side and left side? Because we know that right side receives deoxygenated blood and left side receives oxygenated blood, right? So in this case, why is there a separation? One, so that there is no mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated, because oxygenated blood will have more oxygen, deoxygenated less oxygen, right? Then of course, as you all know, the reason is so that the oxygenated blood can be efficiently circulated throughout the body. And along with that, we see that in animals, the reason is because we need high energy to maintain our body temperature, which is why in this particular case, we see that this separation helps us. Yes? Okay. Shivam, you be regular to our classes. You will be fine. Don't worry. Be regular. Okay? Now, shall we move on to our next question? I hope all of us are clear. Yes? I hope all of us are clear. Okay, ma'am, how can we separate it as a point? See, when you are writing it, just each important sentence, you separate it as one, right? Description में अभी नहीं है, which is why it is going to get updated after I finish, but it will be available on the description. Guys, please be little patient. Everything will be available. Okay, let's go on to question number 5. Question number 5, as you all know, right? Question number 5, again, as you all see, define excretion, 1 mark. Name the basic filtration units, 1 mark. Now, this is from 2018, which is asking you to draw excretory system. 99.99% you will not get drawing questions, but you may get a label diagram of excretory system, and they will ask you, or they'll label parts saying A, B, C, D, and ask you to tell the parts wherein say urine is formed, where there is a long tube that collects urine from kidney, where the stored urine is present, right? So here, as you can see, this right here again is a 5-mark question. Yes? Okay. Are Ayushman, most likely they will not ask you to draw. Chances are very less. Ma'am, what is excretion? Ejaculation of nitrogenous waste. Why ejaculation? Why do we want to use such fancy words, right? Okay. Mainly, I think you meant excretion is getting rid, right? Aryan Arna doesn't want to talk. You listen to me. Now, what is excretion? Excretion is nothing but the removal of nitrogenous metabolic waste from the body, right? So 1 mark you will get this. Now, what is the basic filtration unit? The basic filtration unit that is there is nothing but the nephrons. So we know that nephrons are tubular structures which are present inside these bean-shaped structures called as kidneys, and we know that kidneys have millions and millions of nephrons that are responsible for filtering out this nitrogenous metabolic waste and results in helping in the formation of urine, right? Okay. Now the next part of the question is asking us to draw the human excretory system. Like I said, you will not get to draw, but because this question is asking us to draw, I'm going to quickly and roughly draw this. I'm just roughly drawing it. Please don't mind. Little bit gullige it may look like, so please don't mind how it looks. Okay. Right? So here, as we all know, we have a rough version of the excretory system. Now you need to tell me which part of the excretory system, right? Or label the following organs that perform the functions. So can you tell me which is responsible for formation of urine? Which organ is responsible for formation of urine? Where is urine formed? Very good. It is the kidney, right? So in the kidneys, we know that urine is formed. Now, which is the tube that collects the urine from the... So I'm just going to label it. Now, which is the long tube that collects the urine from the kidney and takes it all the way to the urinary bladder? Yes? Very good. So here the second answer is ureter. So this long structure is what collects the urine and takes it all the way to the urinary bladder. Now, urinary bladder is the place where urine is stored until passed out. So if you give me the answers as kidney, ureter, urinary bladder, you will get 3 marks easily, right? Easily you will be able to get it. So best kind of 1 mark questions or 5 mark questions are these, where you have multiple subparts and there is bifurcation in subparts, so that eventually what will happen, at one stretch you will not lose 5 marks, but rather you will end up losing, say, 1 mark each, right? So in this case, Aram say all of you will get 5 marks. Ma'am, ureter or ureters make a difference? No, it doesn't. Ma'am, will they ask us about renal artery and renal vein and subjective questions? No, but they can ask you in objective questions, like assertion reason questions. They can ask you what is renal artery and renal vein. Formation of urine, if I have to give you a very concise flowchart form. So we know that blood, which consists of nitrogenous waste, right? Blood consisting of nitrogenous waste is brought all the way to the nephrons. And we see that there is a part of the nephron called as the glomerulus, right? Now the glomerulus, if you see, is a tuft of capillaries. It's a bunch of capillaries. So here what happens, we see that the glomerulus is designed in such a way that it is able to filter the blood. So once the blood reaches the glomerulus, we see that filtration of blood takes place, where along with your nitrogenous waste like urea, even good things like glucose, amino acids, all of them get filtered. Then what will happen? They will move on to the next part, which is going to be the tubular part. Now in the tubular part of the nephron, we see that all the important substances like your glucose, amino acids, they are all brought or they are all reabsorbed back into the blood. So whatever is needed by the body is brought back, right? It is reabsorbed back into the body. Some amount of water is also reabsorbed. But if there is excess water, so excess water, salts, urea, we see that all of this will then pass through the remaining part of the nephron, thereby resulting in the form of urine. So for CBSE examination point of view, urine formation you need to write in 3 steps, right? You need to mention about filtration process, you need to mention about reabsorption process, and finally how secretion takes place and formation of urine takes place. Maximum you will get formation of urine for 3 marks. Yes? Okay. 14 out of 14 bio, very happy, right? Very proud. Now you tell me, renal artery or vein will have more impurities. You should tell me. By now you should be able to get it, right? Okay. Everybody, do you all want to say hi to Ankita ma'am?
Hello everyone.
A quick hi, hello.
Hello.
Ma'am, they're all very worried about urine formation and all of that. So I told them it'll come only for 3 marks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue everyone.
Yes. So now they're all saying hi, ma'am. Little delayed hi is coming.
Delayed, yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, will board also ask difference between blood and lymph? They will ask between blood and lymph also. You can get it as MCQs or you can get it as 2 marks also. Both blood and lymph you can get, so don't skip that point. Now let me go on to question number 6. Oh my god, I realized I've taken half an hour just to do live processes. Okay. Ma'am, please speak slowly. Okay, I will try my best. Now, let's have a look at this question, all of you. We are talking about process of transport of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So here you can get this for 5 marks. You can get this for 3 marks. So students, how many of you have got this in your pre-boards? I am sure that some of you have definitely got it, right? This one is huge, exactly. Okay. This is a lengthy question, but it is a short question that you will get. Because I know for a fact in the pre-boards or in your midterms, this will definitely come. This is a PYQ that has appeared, right? Which is why, as you all know, today, like I said, it is not that we are just giving you random questions, right? Divyanshu, I have it, just not for this chapter. I have it for the other chapters. Okay. So now, of course, when you are writing this, you give me Neha's answers work, right? So basically, you need to write about double circulation process that takes place. Now, specifically here, they're asking you, explain the process of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Now, my answer is written little ulta because I prefer to start with deoxygenated blood and then I start with oxygenated. But you can write about oxygenated also. I mean, you can start with oxygenated. Now, if we were to look at it, we know that oxygenated blood is pumped from the left ventricles through the aorta to different parts of the body. And we know that at the capillary level, this oxygen it is diffusing into the cells. Now at the same time, carbon dioxide from different parts of the body is collected by the veins and they all join the vena cava. Right? So the largest vein in our body is the vena cava, and this vena cava joins the right atrium, or it pours the blood into the right atrium of the heart. From the right atrium, it will pour it to the right ventricle, wherein we see that from the right ventricle, it is pumped to the lungs for oxygenation. And we see that the pulmonary artery, right? Pulmonary artery is what is responsible for transporting this. Now at the lungs, what will happen? Oxygenation will take place, right? And from here we see that it will then take it to the left atrium and then it will go to the left ventricle, right? Now here there are 2 ways. You can write it as what will happen to oxygenated blood. You can just write the circuit of oxygenated blood because the circuit of oxygenated blood is just between heart and body, right? But circulation of deoxygenated blood, we see that is happening between, we see that from the body it goes here and from here it is then going to the lungs. So we see that we have this half which is your deoxygenated part and then we have this half which is the oxygenated part. So you can separate it and write it, or you can write double circulation ka answer also. Both should work, right? Both answers are acceptable. So when you're writing it down, if it comes for 5 marks, you can elaborate it in detail and support it, right? Support it with a flow chart also, where you can write down where the oxygenated blood circulation is happening and where the deoxygenated blood circulation is happening and where the oxygenated blood circulation is happening. Yes? Okay. Ritika, how much marks did that come for? Did that come only for 2 marks? Then it is okay. But if they ask you for 3 marks, you need to write little more. Ma'am, how does lungs get oxygen? When you breathe in, right? Oxygen is going in. Air rich in oxygen is entering your body. Your lungs have alveoli that are rich with blood capillaries. So that's how your oxygen from the lungs enters into the bloodstream. Ma'am, isn't it vena cava? No, it's vena cava. I've been taught vena cava. So, yeah. Draw the flow chart. I don't have it, but please make it a point that you all draw the flow chart. Now on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are we feeling? Students, how confident are we feeling about today's class or the questions? Aorta ke baare mein you can write down. I told in the beginning only about aorta. Ma'am, shall we draw 2 by 2 grid? Yeah, you can draw that. 10 out of 10. Ma'am, it was for 2 marks. Theek hai. So whenever you are getting questions for 2 marks and 3 marks on hormones, which I'll tell you, write down what exactly it does, right? Why it's called stress hormone, resulting in senescence, how it causes aging. So don't just end with inhibiting growth. You could have written 1 or 2 more extra pointers, right? 9 out of 10, very, very good. So very quickly, students, if you're liking this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well, right? Now, very quickly, I will give you a concise explanation for lymph, right? Now, many of you are asking about lymph, so I'm going to quickly revise lymph. Now, see, you have your blood capillaries, right? You have your blood capillaries that are there. So what happens during these blood capillaries? We know that these capillaries are formed from the arteries, right? Now, due to these arteries, we know that blood flows through high pressure. So when the blood is flowing and coming, there are chances of certain leaks that takes place, right? There are some leaks that can happen through the capillaries. Yes. So as a result, what will happen? What can leak out of the capillaries from the blood? Plasma, WBCs, all of them can leak out of the capillaries, right? So the remaining bit of blood will keep flowing, but some amount of plasma, WBCs will leak out. Now all this fluid will surround your cells, right? It will surround the cells. Now all this which is surrounding the cell is what we call as extracellular fluid, or we call it as tissue fluid. Yes. So now what will happen? It cannot be like our cells are floating in all this fluid. It needs to get drained somewhere, which is why what happens? All this plasma, WBC, proteins, everything, it will leak into a lymphatic vessel or another vessel called as lymphatic vessel, and we call this as lymph. Yes. So the correct answer here is, or this is what we understand as lymph. Okay? I hope now we are clear. Now let's go on to our next chapter, which is control and coordination. Now control coordination that is there is a slightly, see, for me, I will always say control coordination is easy, right? But how many of us feel like control coordination is very tough? Arey ma'am, control coordination not happening, right? Okay. Extracellular fluid means extra is outside the cell, right? Extracellular outside. Intracellular, inter. See, inter means between two cells, right? So it can also be called as intercellular fluid. Intra means within the cell. Yes? Ma'am, it is very simple. Ma'am, it is the hardest chapter. Okay. Those of you who find this chapter very easy, I'm very happy. Those of you who struggle a little bit with this chapter, these are some of the important topics. See, types of neurons, nerve impulse is very important because they can ask you sequence-based questions. So they'll give you a sequence and you need to identify which is the correct one. So here, these kind of questions will normally come for MCQs. Reflex arc, super duper important. Parts of brain, very important. Now, plant hormones are very important. We think it's very boring, but we need to pay attention because plant hormones topic can come even for 5 marks. As per sample paper, we have seen that phytohormones or plant hormones have come for 5 marks. How to study hormones? Make a table, right? Make a table, name of hormone, where it is synthesized, what is the function. For animal hormones, you can add in what will happen if there is less hormone or more hormones, right? Even for parts of brain, make a table and study. So this is the part of brain. What does it do? What will happen if it is not there, right? So make a table and study. That will definitely be help you out, right? I know. Practice, practice, practice. The more you keep doing the same thing, the more it is going to become easy. If you revise only once, if you solve questions only once, it is not going to cut it, right? Why? Because you are not familiar. That is what you need to understand. You need to keep doing it again and again. Even if it is boring, do it 100 times so that now you are clear. Yes? Vidyun, I am not ignoring you. I am trying very hard to teach and keep up with all of you as well, right? Label parts of sensory neuron. Array, that is a trick question. It's a normal neuron only, no? Trick question. Ma'am, are there tables mentioned? I don't remember. It should be there. If not, I'll give it to you. It's okay. ठीक है. 100 push-up. हाँ, exactly, Shivam. Let's get started, everybody, with question number 7. Now, this is an MCQ based question. So, like I said, from this chapter, we normally get more MCQ based questions. Yes? So, this is a PYQ that has come last year. Posture and balance of the body is controlled by what? Is it cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata, or pons? Yes? Give me 1 minute as I all drink water, right? As I drink water. Okay. Now, I'm going to quickly revise the... So, if you look at the brain, we know that the brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain, and it is divided into hindbrain, right? Now, what is there in the forebrain? A large part of the forebrain includes the cerebrum. What is the function of the cerebrum? It is mainly the thinking part of our body. It controls, all our sensory information, right? Whether how we're able to see, how we're able to hear. All of this is regulated by the cerebrum. It is where we see that it's also said to be the conscience that is there, right? So I can say that it is the main thinking part of the brain. Now we also know that it has hypothalamus as well. Now the hypothalamus that is there regulates the body temperature and also controls hunger, right? So body temperature or regulates body temperature is something that we know. Then of course we have thalamus as well. Now what does the thalamus do? Thalamus is basically like a meeting spot for information, right? Or what I will call as a relay spot. Now a relay spot is basically a part wherein informations will pass through to different parts. So thalamus that is there is basically a relay point. Now what do we have? We have the midbrain, right? What does the midbrain do? Midbrain is the middle portion of the brain which controls the reflexes of the eye, right? So it controls the reflexes of the eye. Now you are left with hindbrain. Now if you look at hindbrain, the hindbrain includes cerebellum, it has medulla and pons, right? So what does the cerebellum do? Cerebellum, it is what is the part which is responsible for posture and body balance, right? So this is the part which is responsible for posture and body balance. While on the other hand, if you look at pons, pons is the part wherein we see that it controls or plays a main role in regulating breathing. Then what do we have? We have the hindbrain last part, which is the medulla. What does the medulla do? Medulla is responsible for regulating various involuntary actions like salivation, blood pressure, vomiting, so on, right? So students who want to take a screenshot, jaldi say. Take a screenshot for those of you who have not ever done this table. This is a way in which you have to make notes, right? Okay. Ma'am, hemoglobin has more affinity for between what and what? If you are saying between carbon dioxide and oxygen, it is oxygen. Between oxygen and carbon monoxide, it is carbon monoxide. Regulates breathing, you can say. Not for respiration, mainly breathing, right? Yes. Okay. Very good. So correct answer here is option B, right? Correct answer is option B. Many of you who told me medulla, you guys are wrong. You will lose marks here. Now the next question is a competency based question. The growth of tendril in a pea plant is due to what? Right? Is it due to effect of light, effect of gravity, rapid cell division in the tendrilar cells that are away from support, or rapid cell division in the tendrilar region that is in contact for the support? Now for many students who have been very regular in my class, right? If you have been very regular in my class, you will be able to give me the answer to this. You should be able to give me the answer. Ritika, do you have a, what do you say, sixth sense? Because I have this question in today's class. Yes, yes, no problem. Watch it later and don't let me know. Don't forget to let me know in the comments. Okay, of course, we know that growth of tendril in a pea plant is due to thigmotropism, right? So it is a kind of tropic movement that is happening in response to touch. So not light, not gravity. Now in this particular case, what do we see? We see that rapid tendril or rapid cell division takes place where? So when my tendril comes in contact, right? When it comes in contact with my support, we see that growth is not happening towards the support, but it's happening in the opposite side, right? What is tendril? Tendril is the modified part which acts as a support for climbers, right? So it acts as or helps climbers attach to mechanical support, which is why if you see, correct answer is option C, that rapid cell division takes place away from the support, pretty much like oxygen synthesis that takes place away, right? Always remember that. Yes? Awesome. Now we have another question where you need to tell me, give the missing term. This is very easy. We have stimulus, we have receptor, sensory neurons, dash, motor neurons, effector, or what? So in this case, can you tell me? Oh, I have to give you the option. Sorry. So this is what is missing, okay? You have stimulus, which is perceived by your receptor. Information from receptor is taken from the sensory neuron to some place. From the sensory neuron by the motor neuron, it is taken to the effector, right? So in this case, what do we see? A or D? So we have muscles. Okay, I can see A. Okay, now we are clear, it is not muscle, it is not cranial nerve, right? So it is neither of the two. Now what are we left with? Information. So let's remember this. We have neurons which are of three types. We have sensory neuron, we have motor neuron, then we have relay neurons or interneurons. But what are my three types of nerves? Can you tell me? We have sensory nerves, we have motor nerves, and we have mixed nerves. Yes? So now on this basis, right? On this basis, can you tell me? On this case, what do you think is the answer? It is going to be option A, spinal cord, right? See, it is going to be spinal cord as a structure which in turn has sensory neurons bringing it in, a relay or an interneuron connecting your sensory and motor neuron and then passing the information, right? It cannot be only a relay neuron involved in it. So in this case, what do we see? Answer is option A, which is spinal cord. Yes, correct answer is option A. Don't think twice. This is a reflex arc ka flow chart. So you know that this right here has to be your CNS. Yes? It cannot be both A and D. How can it be only relay? Now think of it logically. Does this mean that sensory neuron, say it is directly going to one relay neuron in our body? No, na. We see that in this particular case, it's going to a structure which is going to be the spinal cord. Yes? It is the main reason. See, it is your central nervous system. And here we see that inside the central nervous system, you have your relay neuron which acts as a facilitator where your sensory and motor meet. And normally we will not say relay nerve, we say relay neurons that are there, right? Because we see that they are at the finest level at that point, which is why in this case the answer will not be D, it will be option A. So are we clear? Yes, are we all clear? ठीक है. If you have given me spinal cord as the answer, you will get 1 mark. Sai Kumar, I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying my best to get started quickly. Now we have a very simple question. This is going to come for 2 marks, which is a direct one, right? No problem, Karthik. Come back and watch it. Distinguish between spinal and cranial nerve. Yes? Minion boy, rewind back. I have explained double circulation. And you don't need to ask me unnecessary other questions, but I can tell you why fishes are having gills. Okay. Simple. What are cranial nerves? Cranial nerves are those which arise from the brain. They are 12 in number and mainly they are responsible for controlling, or they are concerned with coordinating activities in the head and the neck. While on the other hand, what do you see? We see that spinal nerves arise from the spinal cord. They are 31 in pair and they are the ones which relay information to the lower parts of the body. Which is why here any 2 points you write, you will get 2 marks. Yes? So they arise from brain, arise from spinal cord, 12 pairs, 31 pairs. What do? You just need to write it down. Yes? 2 marks aaram se you will get. Now the last 2 questions that I have are case-based questions. Yes? So let's move on to question number 11, right? So this is question number 11, everybody. So let's have a look. Study the table in which the levels of thyroid stimulating hormones are given, or TSH in a women are given, and based on that give the answers. Yes? Now, women are at greater risk for developing abnormal TSH levels during menstruation, while giving birth and after going through menopause. Around 6% of the women in the United States have some kind of thyroid problem as compared to 3% in men. Now, despite the claim that high TSH can have, a risk of heart disease, we see that there was no link between TSH and heart diseases. But what did we see? We see that in older women, they are at a higher risk of developing, let's say, thyroid cancer or thyroid nodules. And they have given you this particular table, right? This is the case. Now the question is, a 35-year-old woman has TSH level of 6.03 MU per L, right? What is the change she should bring in her diet in order to control this level? When do women face a greater risk of, let's say, abnormal TSH level, and state the consequence of the same? This is a very, very difficult question. I'll tell you why it is difficult. Because there is application of a certain concept, right? A is intake of iodine. Okay. That is what we think it is, but I will give you will lose marks. If you give me intake of iodine, yes, but you need to, why intake of iodine? Her TSH level is high. If her TSH level is high, that means that she should have more thyroid hormone produced. Yes or no? Will we have, if she has more TSH produced in the body, does this mean that she has hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism? Yes? If screen is not visible, then you can increase the settings. I can see some interesting answers. Students, I have confused you and you have gotten confused also, right? I have confused you because when you read the question, you didn't think twice. You didn't overcomplicate the question, right? You just saw TSH, you saw what change in diet, array ma'am, it should be iodine and that's it, right? But in this case, it is not iodine, it is not only iodine, right? Because if you look at TSH level, what is TSH? TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormones, right? So what does TSH do? TSH is produced by the pituitary gland, right? It is produced by the pituitary gland in order to tell my thyroid gland, right? It is secreted or it is produced so that it can tell my thyroid gland that, bro, you got to start secreting your thyroxine, right? So this right here is what is its job. Now, the idea is also slightly along the lines of feedback mechanism, right? So if there is more TSH getting produced, that means that it will tell, right? It should tell my body that, hey, thyroxine needs to be produced. But when the level of thyroxine, right? When the level of thyroxine becomes more, right? Or the thyroxine in the blood becomes more, then shouldn't the level of TSH decrease, right? Shouldn't the level of TSH decrease? Yes or no? Think of it as your feedback mechanism. Think of your feedback mechanism with respect to insulin. When there is more blood sugar level, more insulin will be produced. But when the blood sugar level comes down, insulin will become down. Same thing you apply with TSH and thyroxine, right? So what will happen? So TSH will increase. That means thyroxine will be more. Once thyroxine is more, why should TSH be produced more? The level should come down, right? Because now it is balanced. So that's how your feedback loop is going, right? Your feedback loop is going in this manner. Now, in this case, consecutively, the TSH level is high. If the TSH level is consecutively high, that means that this person is experiencing hypothyroidism. That means despite the fact that my body is constantly producing more and more TSH, right? It is not giving enough thyroxine. That's why inherently my TSH levels are higher. So this woman is experiencing hypothyroidism. So what can she do? First and foremost, you guys were right. You guys were right without knowing the concept. You guys didn't think twice and you gave me the correct answer, but you should know the concept and the funda behind it. So of course, she can incorporate iodine in her diet. But along with that, because she has less amount or she has less thyroxine being produced, she cannot eat a lot of, So she cannot eat a lot of processed food, right? So we see that she cannot eat a lot of processed food. So a lot of sugar processing, carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism will not happen effectively because there is not enough thyroxine. Yes? Are we clear? Are we all clear? So I will explain this once again. See, you have your pituitary gland, which is the master gland, right? So before that, I will tell you. We all know what is a feedback mechanism. Do we all know what is a feedback mechanism? A feedback mechanism is a mechanism by which our body regulates how much of hormones need to be produced in our body. Too much hormones or too less of hormones are bad, which is why we see that something of this sort, there needs to be a loop that will ensure that things are working properly. Yes? So in the case of, let's say, insulin, right? So you have your pancreas, right? So you have your pancreas. Now, how does your pancreas know when to produce insulin? That is when there is high glucose or blood sugar level. So when there is high blood glucose level, then your pancreas will produce insulin. But at one point after producing insulin, the glucose level will come down, right? Glucose level will come down. Then why should your pancreas produce more insulin? So when the glucose level comes down in the blood, even your insulin will come down because now insulin's job is over. So something of that sort is happening in this question. So your pituitary gland, that is, there is a master gland which produces TSH, that is thyroid stimulating hormone. Now, when the thyroxine level is low, right? So when thyroxine level is low, more and more TSH will produce so that more thyroxine can get produced. Now, once the thyroxine level becomes high, that means, or it becomes normal, TSH is not needed, right? So the level will come down. So the balance is there. So now they are saying that there is a woman who is constantly having high TSH level. Now when will she have high TSH level? When she is not able to produce enough thyroxine in the body. And the condition when we are not able to produce enough thyroxine is what we call as hypothyroidism, right? So this is what is called as hypothyroidism. So what can she do? She can eat less. She can incorporate iodine in the diet, but along with that, she also needs to ensure that her food that she consumes, less processed food, less carbohydrate. Basically, she needs to have a controlled diet. So these two things you need to do. Yes? Now the second one. When do women face a greater risk for abnormal TSH? When do they face it? That is there in the question only. When are women at a greater risk for developing abnormal TSH? Can you tell me from the question? So they have given this, right? So we see that women are at greater risk for developing abnormal TSH levels either during menstruation while giving birth, or we see that after going through menopause. So they have already given this particular question in your or the answer in the case itself. So this you need to pick it up from this, right? Copy, paste, exactly. Last part of the question is, what is the consequence if there is less TSH? Now we saw that if there is more TSH, there is hypothyroidism. But what if TSH is less? What will that result in? What will that result in if there is less TSH? What would it mean? If less amount of thyroid stimulating hormone is there, that means very good. It will be hyperthyroidism. Now, why did I explain this to you? See, question A, you would have answered blindly. But question C, you would have atcaufied, right? You would not know what is what. So that is why I explained the funda behind the use of feedback mechanism. Many of you are looking at this question are saying, ma'am, this is not CBSE question, this is ICSE. Now, these are competency-based questions which can come in your CBSE also, which is why it is important that you all know the application, how to apply concept. Yes? Okay. So, answer here is, of course, hyperthyroidism. Now, there is a OR part. Name the mineral that is responsible for synthesis of hormone. So now again, they have made your life easy, right? They have made your life easy peasy. Name the mineral. Again, it is iodine, right? Again, iodine directly. So even if you don't know the other bit of it, even if you don't know the funda. Now I'm talking about the, I'm talking about the extreme situation where you are not able to figure out what is the logic behind the question. You look at it. They have also given you a question, right? They have also given you a question where you can easily answer. So it is still scoring in one way, right? It is still scoring. Which is why if you look at it, if you have a look at it, you see, when you're writing the first answer, you will have to say what is the condition that is hypothyroidism, what she can do, 1 mark. When will she be at a greater risk, right? She will be at a greater risk during menstruation, while giving birth, or after going through menopause. Second bit of it is again, so I think this bit of it is for 2 marks. And this bit of it here is for 1 mark each. Yes? Okay. I can see many of you are asking me many doubts which I am missing and saying, ma'am, don't ignore my question. So give me 1 moment. Are we all clear? Are we confident with this question? I have many more of this. Ritika is like, ma'am, increase iodine intake, reduce iron, increase calcium, limit protein intake. What were the options? What is the answer based on that? It should be option 1. As per what she has given, it should be option 1, increase iodine intake. But you let me know the answer in the, once you get it, right? Maybe once you get your paper corrected, let me know what your teacher gives you as the answer as well, right? because this was a subjective question which he has converted into objective. So you tell me that, let me know what your teacher has marked as the correct answer, but from my knowledge, it should be option 1. Yes, Ritika? So let me know in the comments of this video whenever you get your paper. Okay? We have numericals, don't worry. Vaibhav, TSH is going to be, TSH is thyroid stimulation. Oh my god, I feel like I've constantly, gone over and over it. What is TSH? TSH is nothing but your thyroid stimulating hormone. Constantly saying thyroxine. ठीक है. Question number. Oh, I think we have one extra question, guys. 30 से नहीं 31 होगा. Okay, let's have a look at this question. An old man is advised. So again, this is case based. This is but easy. ये वाला easy है. An old man is advised by his doctor to take less sugar in his diet. Name the disease from which the man is suffering. Mention the hormone due to which he has an imbalance from imbalance of this. Which endocrine secretes the hormone? So let's break question number A. What has been asked? We see that there is an old man, poor old man. He has to take less sugar. And why has this happened? We see that he is suffering due to some imbalance of a hormone. What should it be? We know that if there is an imbalance of a certain hormone, which hormone regulates the blood sugar levels? It is insulin, right? Now, insulin is secreted by the pancreas, right? And if there is, let's say, insufficient production of insulin, then we see that in the blood there will be more and more sugar. And we call this condition as diabetes. So when you are writing the answer, how will you write the answer to this? You will say that the disease from which the man is suffering is diabetes. This has happened due to the imbalance of insulin. Which endocrine secretes it? The pancreas secretes this. You will get 3 marks for this question, because you have 3 things to identify, right? So 3 marks you will be able to get it. Now the second part of it says, name the endocrine gland which secretes the growth hormone. What will happen to a person if there is a deficiency or excess? So which endocrine secretes the growth hormone? Growth hormone is produced by which endocrine gland? Can you tell me? Yes? Easy. This is by the pituitary gland, right? So the pituitary gland produces your growth hormone. Now they are saying, what if there is a deficiency or there is less secretion? So what if there is less secretion of growth hormone? What is going to happen? What is the name of the condition? What is the name of the condition? Very good. We call this condition as dwarfism. And what will a person experience if there is less growth hormone produced? It will cause stunted growth, right? Or it will affect the growth of the individual. While if there is hypersecretion or if there is excess secretion, what do we see? If there is excess secretion of growth hormone, it can result in a condition called as gigantism, where the person will have more growth in the body, right? So in the first case, you need to write down diabetes, imbalance of insulin hormone and pancreas. You will get 3 marks. Next one, pituitary gland, and then of course here you will get 1 mark. We see that here for dwarfism and gigantism, 1 mark each, right? So a total of 5 marks, you will be able to get it easily from this chapter. Easy peasy. I'm sure this is simple. Shall we move on? Are you guys feeling that, ma'am, I'm able to revise all of it? Yes, ma'am, please show the previous slide. Yeah, have a look. See, the intent today is not going to be for me to teach from scratch. If I start teaching from scratch, I will go on and on forever and ever. But we will be doing marathon classes also, most likely from next week. So we've taken a check with all of you so that you come regularly to class. But today is about revision, right? Revise. ठीक है. Very good, all of you. Very good. So with this, shall we move on to our next question, which is going to be based on reflex arc. Now, this can come as 2 marks or this can come as 3 marks. Reflex arcs continue to be more efficient for quick response. Why? Give a reason. Yes, it'll be in the evening only. So we need to tweak our plan a little bit because we thought we'd do it in the morning. But now we will move it to the evenings. Ma'am, why does it affect? See, what happens is that menstruation that can cause a lot of imbalance in hormones, right? So in some people, we see that it can result in imbalance. I know these questions that I'm telling you today are the most repeated questions. So for a fact, when I say that it is the most repeated questions, there is a reason why I'm telling you that, right? So what is a reflex arc? A reflex arc that is there is basically the shortest path that is taken by the nerve impulse during a reflex action. So in this case, we see that the receptor perceives it, transported by sensory, taken to spinal cord, then it goes to spinal cord, interprets the information, then it goes to through motor neuron, it reaches effector. Now, why is it very efficient? Now, in a reflex arc, if you see, quick decisions are taken and there is not a lot of thinking involved, right? So this right here is something which we have seen across animals, wherein even in the most primitive animals that don't have a highly complex nervous system or a nervous, even though there are no lot of complex nervous systems involved, we see that even then, right? We see that even then they are able to respond to danger, right? Which is why we see that reflex arcs have been evolved right from the lower organisms all the way to the highly complicated or highly organized animals, despite the fact that they don't have a proper thinking process, and the reason being is so that they can take quick decisions. So in this case, why is it more efficient for a quick response? There's not a lot of thinking or processing involved. So right from lower animals to higher animals, we see that this right here is effective and efficient. So when you're writing it, you can start off by saying what is reflex arc and a reflex action, how it helps us to protect ourselves from harmful stimuli, and we see that it is efficient because it does not require a proper thinking process. And even though complicated neural systems or complicated nervous systems came in the higher organisms, even a primitive animal and a complicated or a complex animal, we see the same thing, right? Which is why in this case, if you write all these pointers, you will see 3 marks or you will get 3 marks. Yes? 3 marks के लिए 3 points तो लिखना पड़ेगा. Very good student. Okay. This is for class 10th. Many of you are asking me difference between acromegaly and gigantism. Acromegaly is a condition we see in adults. It's a kind of gigantism, but what we observe in adults. So if if excess growth hormone gets secreted in adults, it results in acromegaly, right? Which is why gigantism is something we see in children. Yes? Okay. Hey, I have a question. What does NGL stand for? I don't know what NGL stands for. Can you all tell me? Okay. Ma'am, so message is provided. See, Maithili, it depends, right? It's not that the brain does not get to know. There is a message which goes on to the brain, right? But what also happens is that quick decisions are taken simultaneously. So as a message goes to the brain, the decision is also taken, right? NGL stands for not gonna lie. Oh, thank you. Okay, so with this everyone, we are done with just about 13 questions. We are only done with 13 questions, but if you think about it, we have done some high level concepts, right? We've done some high level concepts, lot of applications. We have done a lot of MCQs, easy, complicated, everything we have done today, right? So now we will move on to how do organisms, but before I go to how do organisms, how about we take a small 2-minute water break just to stretch our hands and legs out. Let's just to move and just to wash our face a little bit. Yes? So I will give you about a 4-minute, okay, I'll give you a 3-minute water break. Or you want 5 minutes? You tell me. If you want 5 minutes, take it. We'll start. We will do sharp at 8:40. See, I gave you warning saying today's class is going to be minimum 2 hours, right? Many of you here are constantly telling me, ma'am, speed up. I will speed up, but explaining concept is also my job, right? So 5-minute break, it's okay. Take 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes. I also need it for my voice, right? By tomorrow, hopefully, I'm able to take class because I'm not supposed to be teaching with this much enthusiasm. I should tone it down. So 5 minutes water break, everybody. I will see you soon. Yes? Okay. Okay. I hope that we're all back. I hope that we've not decided कि अरे मैम नहीं हो रहा है. Tara bye bye, I'll go. Come back later. No, na? Okay. Welcome back, all of you. Hope you're feeling refreshed, recharged, even with 5 minutes. See, I know you will say, Arey ma'am, why 5 minutes? 1 minute is enough. But you guys, you're looking at a screen. You guys, to be honest, you guys are having so much going on in your life right now. You have pre-boards, you have to prep, you have to do homework, you have assignment, you have this, that, so many things in school. And let me tell you, right, that I understand. And even if you feel that, ma'am, that 5 minutes doesn't matter, I know what a big deal it is to give you that 5-minute break, which is why it helps you in concentrating, it helps you in focusing in class, right? That is why even if you take 5 minutes and you do random chit chat, it's okay. It's a breather for you where you are not stressing out about the 100 and other one things that are there, right? Yeah, it's okay, Harshit. You come back, rewind the video, watch it from the beginning, put it in 2x, right? Watch it from the beginning, no problem. Hopefully, I've done it in a way where you can easily watch it. Okay, so now we're going to I finished the first 2 chapters. I'm going to move on to the last 3 chapters, right? Thank you, Aesthetic Labs. Thank you. Coming back, we will do the chapter, How Do Organisms Reproduce? Now, I will tell you a very personal feeling I have about this chapter. This chapter is very easy, okay? It is very easy. It is very direct. But there are some concepts in this chapter that which we love to ignore. DNA copying, variation, what is this population stability, what is how sexual reproduction maintains chromosome number, all this, right? All this we are like, ma'am, no, I will not read it. What is easy for me to study? Types of asexual reproduction is easy. Sexual reproduction in humans, sexual reproduction in plants, contraceptives, all of that is very easy, right? Very, very simple, direct concepts. But let me tell you what we've observed, especially from last year's paper, is that variation, importance of variation, understanding mechanism of DNA copying, these are all very important because for sure assertion reason questions have come from this, right? Need not mark it in your textbook, right? Mark it in your textbook. I have this question also. Raju, I have this question, so pay attention. I will be giving it to you anyway. The PDF will be available. So variation, importance of variation, DNA copying, please don't skip that part. Now, most importantly, if you have not watched my one-shot class, please go back, watch that video. I've also done NCERT reading side by side. So all the boring parts also I've explained it in great detail. Aram se you watch that video if you want an in-depth explanation, right? One shot of how do organisms reproduce, go and type how do organisms reproduce by Ashwarya ma'am. You will be able to find that video. I've done NCERT reading as well. Next up, asexual reproduction and its type, super duper important. MCQ questions, 2 mark questions come from this, right? 1 mark, 2 mark questions normally come from this topic. Why sexual mode of reproduction? Again, assertion reason questions. 3 mark questions can also come from this part. Then of course we have pollination, types of pollination, sexual reproduction in plants, reproduction in humans and contraceptives. So we have all these questions that can come. So without any further ado, I hope you've made a list of all the important topics. We'll get started with our questions today. So the first question that we have is an assertion reason question. We were all waiting for this. Characteristics of parental plants can be preserved through vegetative propagation. Reason being that vegetative propagation involves only mitotic division. We have 4 options and you need to tell me which is the correct answer. Please don't skip an environment chapter. Aram se you will get marks. 6 marks to pakka you will get. I like how all of you are like, ma'am, A, maybe C, ma'am, maybe D. I can see now, kids, you know the answer. Be confident and give me the answer. Be confident. Don't say I think and all. You be confident and tell me. Ma'am, आपने hello नहीं bye कर दिया. Ankita ma'am is going home now. C. लॉक किया जाए C को. Okay. C. Why now? Okay, ma'am. A. Done. Ma'am, I'm not. No, give answer. Don't be like, I'll not give the answer. Don't be like that. Give the answer. C. What is our methodology for assertion reason? Many students who are here, right? Many students who are here might be watching this video for the first time. So I will quickly tell you what is the methodology you can follow for assertion reason. Now treat as assertion reason as statement 1, statement 2 questions, right? So first step number 1 is to identify if both statements are, look at them as individual statements and tell me whether they are true or false, okay? Now, during vegetative propagation, we know that vegetative propagation is a mode of growing plants from the vegetative parts, right? So, we are growing new plants from the vegetative parts. So, which are my vegetative parts? It includes my root, stem and leaf, right? Now, in this particular case, there are some specialized cells which are present in, say, certain plants that can grow a new plant, right? So, they are saying in statement 1 that if this is a parent plant. So, let's take bryophyllum as an example, right? So, there is a bryophyllum which can again reproduce through vegetative propagation, and this is happening through vegetative propagation of leaf. So, we know that at the notches, new plants will grow, right? Now, they're saying that if this is my parent bryophyllum, right? This is my parent bryophyllum. They are saying that this offspring or this new bryophyllum plant that will go will have the same characteristics as the parent. Yes or no? So in vegetative propagation, it is considered to be a type of asexual mode of reproduction that we see in plants. And what is one of the biggest advantages of vegetative propagation? We know that if we want to retain some parental characteristics, then we know that vegetative propagation is the way to go. So statement A or assertion statement is true. Now they are saying that vegetative propagation involves only mitotic division, right? Mitotic division. Now see, cell division is of two types, right? Cell division that is there is of two types, where we have mitotic division and meiotic division. Yes, or meiosis. Now, where will I see meiotic division? I will see only during formation of gametes, right? So, formation of gametes ke time pe I will see meiotic division, where the chromosome number that is there becomes half, right? The chromosomal number will get reduced to half. So, in this particular case, what do we see? I showed you the answer, but in vegetative propagation that is there, if it is a kind of asexual mode, we know that this right here is that will mainly happen through mitotic division. Will meiotic division happen? Meiotic division is not going to happen. So this is also true, right? Mitotic division or mitosis will happen where DNA copying takes place, right? DNA copying takes place. So now both your statements are true. Now if both my statements are true, how will you identify the answer? How will you know if it is a correct explanation? Because C and D has gotten eliminated. Now how do you know if it is the correct explanation? Ask yourself why. Characteristics of parental plants can be preserved through vegetative propagation. Why? Because vegetative propagation involves only mitotic division, which is why the correct answer is option A. Yes, correct answer is option A. Shaurya, how is it possible that you will not study and get 80 out of 80? You study and you will get 80 out of 80. Yes? ठीक है. So correct answer is option A. I don't know why you got confused with C and D. C and D was out of the picture only. If you are okay with this, it is still fine, right? Okay. I will tell you what has happened to me towards the end of the class, okay? It is a very long story. Now, what is mitosis and meiosis? What is mitosis? Mitosis is a type of cell division where if there is a parent cell, right? Let's assume there is a skin cell in our body which has 46 chromosomes. We see that in this particular case, we see that division will happen in such a way that even the daughter cells will have the same number of chromosomes, right? So it will duplicate all of its content and then it will divide. While in the case of meiosis, right? In the case of meiosis, what will happen if there is a parent cell? We see that in this particular case, it will happen in such a way that the chromosome number will become half. So it will become 23. Now, meiosis is something that is mainly there only during gametes, right? Gamete formation. So in sexual reproduction or sexually reproducing organisms, we normally see meiotic division. Yes? Okay. See, if you want an in-depth explanation of mitosis, meiosis, this might not be the class. So everybody, there's a session which I've done which says cell division simplified. You can watch that video and it will definitely help you out. Karthike, you do 143 for biology. Don't get distracted and trouble other people. Okay? ठीक है. Now we'll go on to question number 14, everyone. This is an easier one compared to the previous one. When you study a slide showing different stages, so there's a slide which shows different stages of budding in yeast. You see that there are 4 steps given to you, right? So there are 4 steps and you need to tell me which is the correct sequence. You have 4 options from which you need to tell me which is the correct answer. Okay, very good, all of you. Very, very good. I can see the... Hey, sometimes I'll be in this one mood to, do some commentary. Very good. Easy. What happens first, right? I think I would have done this question. I don't remember actually. There were some repeated and I had to change it and make it tougher. Some I kept as is because it's necessary for practice, right? So now... in your textbook, they have not given you yeast, right? But they've given you hydra. Use the same logic and apply for this. Now, what happens first? First is formation of bud, right? So first one, we see that a bud, which is what is a bud? A bud is nothing but a small outgrowth, right? So in the case of yeast, we see that it is a small outgrowth that starts to grow. Now, it can come in any direction in the parent body, right? So this is the first thing. So first is that the bud comes out in any direction. After which, what do we see? We see that the bud starts to develop. We see that the body of the bud starts to develop, right? So the next one that happens is that the body of the bud will start to develop. Now, if the body of the bud starts to develop, what can happen? One in 2 things. The bud can either get separated once mature. So we see that the bud can either get separated from the parent body, or it can and develop into a new individual, or they can remain as is and they may form a colony. So we see in this particular case, the correct sequence is 3, 2, 1, 4, which is why the correct answer here is option C. This was an easy question. This was not too complicated. Now we have one more question. This, I realize that in one space, I guess I confused myself and I gave you a different explanation. But in this particular case, we have 3 flowers given to us, X, Y, and Z. Which flower here would develop into a fruit? So we have flower X, flower Y, and flower Z. So what is the answer? Which is going to develop into a fruit? No. So you know what, yesterday, in the meanwhile, as you all give me the answer, I was taking class for your 7th graders, 8th graders. And they were like, ma'am, you're sick again. You keep falling sick. I think you need WBCs. So they were like, ma'am, then they were doing commentary. They were like, you need to get WBCs, low WBC, and they were sitting and doing diagnosis for what could possibly be wrong. Yeah, so there is I realized in maybe one of the sessions when, I don't know whether if I explained it or I think mine only, because I realized that there was a small portion which I would like to sort of address, right? Now, what is going to form the fruit, right? Which part of it is going to form the fruit? We see that fruit is nothing but the ripened ovary, right? This is going to be the ripened ovary. So in this particular case, what do we see? We see that flower X here is a bisexual flower, right? Flower Y here is a female unisexual flower. Flower Z is a male unisexual flower. So any flower which has the female reproductive part can grow into or develop into a fruit, right? Which is why what do we see? X and Y can develop into a fruit. They are not saying ki only X or only Y. I mean, they are saying ki which could possibly, right? Which could possibly develop into the fruit. So in this case, what do we see? We see that the correct answer is X and Y both. Why? Because you have the female reproductive part here, which is the pistil, right? This is the pistil which is there in both flower X and flower Y. Now the source from where you get this question, the source that is there, the answer in that source is given wrong. Okay, answer in the source paper is given wrong, which is why in this case you may come across some wrong answers given in the source file, which is why I'm telling you this is the correct answer, right? Any part which is going to have the pistil. See, now we're not saying how pollination will happen, what pollination will happen, right? See, what can pollinate? No, they have not given you so many conditions also. They have said, see, 3 flowers are there, which could possibly develop into the fruit. So what logic is that you're going to use? We know that pistil that is there has the ovary, right? Part of the pistil is the ovary. The ovary will eventually ripen and form the fruit. So the correct answer is going to be X and Y. Use that logic. This has come last year also. But in some places they have marked X only. It cannot be the case, right? Now this is provided pollination will happen and all of that. But here they have not asked you so much in detail, right? My diet is also one more thing. I could have eaten well. Question number 16, everybody. Yes. Question number 16 is the question that we all want to run away from. Ma'am, it does not have anther. It does not have. But bachas, see, can I ask you something? Cucumbers have unisexual flowers, right? So are you saying that cucumbers, because they are unisexual flowers, they will not form fruits? No, right? We know that the female flowers are the ones which give rise to fruits, but the male flowers will not, which is why you need to have that understanding. So remember that it is not that a unisexual flower will never give rise. Yes? So Maithili, I hope you are clear about flower why that is the case. Okay. Now let's have a look at question number 16. What are chromosomes? And explain how stability of the DNA of the species is ensured in sexually reproducing organisms. This is a 3-mark question which you can definitely get. Everybody is like, ma'am, I will give answer to chromosome. Baki ka, you tell me the answer. Everyone, chromosome is this. But second half of the question, ma'am, we don't know. How many of you get scared looking at such indirect questions? See, how to say, I'm telling you, that niche wala question, that one population stability, importance of variation wala question, I'm telling you, it can come. Tinku, you talk to me and give me the answer. Ma'am, I know, but I don't know how to express. No problem. Yeah, I know. This question is little bit like that. It's okay if you don't give me the detailed answer also, right? But see, what are chromosomes? We know how many questions have come, Ritika, that I've done today. You tell me. In the end of the class, you tell me how many in total you got. Okay. So we know what are chromosomes, right? We know that chromosomes are highly condensed structures which are made up of DNA and proteins, right? Now they are asking, how is the stability of DNA of the species made specifically where? Sexually reproducing organisms, right? Now we know about the DNA copying mechanism. We know that from parent to offspring, there is DNA copying mechanism. But what is special in sexually reproducing organisms? In sexually reproducing organisms, we also know that there is gamete formation, right? So we know that the chromosome number that is there is maintained, right? And thereby we see that stability is maintained, wherein DNA copying also, they try to maintain it in such a way that it is able to pass on from generation to generation, and the number of chromosomes are maintained towards the end. See, why have they asked you that chromosome wala bit? They have asked you that chromosome wala bit so that you can write down saying ki this is chromosomes, right? These are my chromosomes, and in human beings we have 46 chromosomes. Now, in sexually reproducing organisms, stability of DNA is maintained how? By maintaining that chromosomal number. How is chromosomal number done? By doing DNA copying mechanism, gamete formation may there is reduction, right? So you have this whole paragraph in your textbook which comes under the sub part, that is 8.3.1, why sexual mode of reproduction, where they've told you how all about DNA copying and how it maintains stability, right? So these two bada paragraphs you have to star mark and read through it. In-depth NCERT reading I have done in one in-depth NCERT reading I have done in your one shot, right? Okay. So when you're writing it, right? See, this is of course I've taken it from a source. Chromosomes are highly condensed structures which are made up of DNA and proteins. Now DNA has all the information which gets passed on from parent to offsprings. Now in sexually reproducing organisms, we see that the stability of DNA is ensured by DNA copying mechanism. And we see that during this copying mechanism, they try to make it as error-free as possible to maintain stability. Now, number of chromosomes are also maintained by the process of meiosis and gamete formation. But nonetheless, what do we see? They will try to be as error-free as possible, but there will be some slight changes that we see, right? Those will be the variations that we see from parent to offspring. But here they're talking about how maximum stability. See, variation is not, right? It is not that variations are because of errors. Error is one way of getting variations, right? It could be additions, deletion, aberrations. Many things are there where you learn 11th, 12th, may you learn more and more about how all of that happens during DNA replication. But errors to a large extent cannot be supported by our body. Slight differences, but what induces that? See, a variation in me could be also impacted by environment. Need not always be at a genetic level, right? Could be impacted through environment also. Yes. So now very quickly everybody, you are asking me how variation supports for stability. See, when you look at variations inducing stability of a population, right? You know that variations should be supported. Because you have this example of this bacteria which is normally found growing in, let's say, cool waters, right? But if the temperature becomes very high, they will not be able to survive unless they have a variation where they are able to adapt to higher temperatures. Which is why we see that normally reproductive stability or population stability is maintained by this. And variations can support that stability of a population if it is going to help them survive. Because not all variations are helpful, right? Some are harmful also, which is why in this particular case, if it is not going to aid them, it can affect the population. So are we clear with this? Are we all clear? Not always, Ayushman, not always. Sometimes it could arise due to an error. It could. Like in bacteria and all, sometimes it arises due to errors. But like I said, variations can appear in multiple ways. Multiple ways in which variations can come up. But the intent of DNA copying is to maintain that stability. Ritika, fertilization. Gamete, 23. So this is male gamete. This is female gamete. What happens during fertilization? Male and female gamete will fuse to become one, to become zygote. Then what will happen? You get 23 from father, 23 from mother. Zygote is having 46, right? Kartike bacha, that is not the way to talk in my class. If that is a language you're going to use, you can leave. Okay. Yes? Awesome. Now let's go on to the next question, which is after a very hefty question, let's go on to a very easy one, right? Okay. The next question that is there is, why can fertilization not take place in flowers if pollination does not occur? So we're talking up. Chumma, they've done essay, they've gone essay from here and here. Yes? So what do we see? They've asked basically, if pollination doesn't happen, why fertilization will not happen. That's as simple as that. No, ma'am, how does 46 in the parent again? No, only gametes are 23. Everywhere else, it is 46 chromosomes only, right? Eventually, when the zygote becomes a young baby, that baby will now grow into become a adult, and then only in the gamete level that 23 chromosomes are there. Rest of the body has 46 only. Is this even a... Arey, after some tough questions, I had to give you easy ones, no? See, what is pollination? We know that pollination is nothing but transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Now we know that pollen grain hands the male gamete, right? And we know that in the ovules, the female gamete is there. Now, if your pollination is the process that helps in transfer of pollen from anther to stigma, if pollination only does not happen, fertilization cannot take place because male and female gametes are not meeting, or they will not be able to meet, right? So which is why in this case we see that for fertilization both male and female gametes are required. If pollination doesn't happen, your male gamete is not even going to reach, which is why fertilization cannot take place. So in this case, 2 marks to tell me, for fertilization, male and female gamete has to come. If it is not there, fertilization will not happen. Now let's go on to the next question, which has come in 2019. This is a diagram-based question. So we have a diagram of a reproductive structure given to us. Quickly tell me, is this a male reproductive structure or female reproductive system? This will come on Telegram, Gurlal, but if you want chapter-wise notes and important questions, that is there on the website. Very good, Aditya. Very good. Who is this randomly having some abuse contest? You all leave the class or you pay attention in class? I don't have the energy today to be dealing with all of you. I mean, in the sense to break up your fights, right? So stop fighting in class. Very good. See, first thing you should do is identify the diagram, okay? It should not be like you've not identified only. So this right here is the male reproductive system, right? So this right here is the male reproductive system. Now what have they asked us? Ma'am, identify A, B, C and D. Now tell me, what is A, what is B, what is C and what is D? A is ureter. Ma'am, came thousands of times. Very good. So A right here is ureter. What is B? Ansh, where are you from? What is B? B is pointing towards a sac-like structure. Very good. This right here is the seminal vesicle, right? Which is a accessory gland. Power gaming, if you continue, you will get blocked on the channel. Do you want that? Do you want me to do that? I'm not a strict teacher, but later don't come and tell me, ma'am, आप बहुत rude हो. मैं rude नहीं हूँ, मैं बहुत strict हूँ. Yes, to some things I am strict and I need to be. Okay, what is C? What is C? What is C here? Very good. C here is the urethra. And last, what do we have? Exactly. D right here is the vas deferens, right? So C is urethra. They have not given you the male external genitalia, but D right here is the vas deferens, right? Or you can write it as sperm duct. Okay. So this is, you will get this here for 1 mark to identify. Now next one is 1 mark. Name, oh no, this will be for 2 marks, sorry. This will come for 5, right? So, name the hormone secreted by testis and tell me its function. Which is the hormone secreted by testis and what is its function? Ma'am, spelling right for D. Rens. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I might make some spelling mistakes because I'm writing very fast. So please don't mind. Very good. So this right here is testosterone, right? What is its function? Two things. Development of the testis itself, right? So development of the male reproductive system. And along with that, all the secondary sexual characteristics, right? So what are secondary sexual characteristics? They are those characteristics that help us identify an individual physically as a male or a female. So in males, we see that growth of chest hair, growth of facial hair. These are all some examples of secondary sexual characteristics that we see here. So this right here, you will get for 2 marks, wherein one you tell me the name of the hormone and its function. Now tell me functions of B and C in the process of reproduction. What is the function of seminal vesicle and the urethra? Can you tell me what is the function of the seminal vesicle? Yes, you can write that also, Ayushman, Avni, very good. Yes, there is no like beard, exactly. Okay. What is the function? Yes, exactly. Very good, Latika. That it produces a fluid that makes up the semen, right? Yes, exactly. So the function of the seminal vesicle here is to produce a certain fluid, right? Now, please don't write saying that the seminal vesicle will release a secretion that makes semen. No. All the accessory glands together, right? All the accessory glands together will produce fluids that results in semen. But the seminal vesicle and the fluid alone will result or will contribute to the formation of semen, which is nothing but secretions of accessory glands plus sperms. Now, what does the seminal vesicle do? The function of the seminal vesicle is to primarily provide a fluid that provides nutrition to the sperms, right? So the correct answer here is this. Now, what is the function of urethra? The main function of the urethra is that we know urethra is a common opening for both sperms as well as urine, and we know that the semen is ejaculated through the urethra. So in this case, when you are writing the answer, you can write it in this manner. So first you will get 1 mark for identifying what is what. You will get 2 marks for telling me this, 2 marks for telling me what are the functions. Total, you will get 5 marks. Yes? Okay. Are we clear? Are we all clear? Because now we will move on to our last 2 chapters, right? Last 2 chapters for the day. Are we clear? Arey ma'am, easy. Now we will go to all of your favorite chapters, which is heredity. Ta-da-da-da-da. How many of you were waiting for heredity? I know, right? All of you here, this heredity chapter has this unnecessary aura around it. Ki ma'am, this chapter is tough. Why? Because we have some complicated things that probably we have never studied before. But today, what are we here for? To say tada bye-bye to this fear and practice more and more such questions, right? See, we need to keep, it's kind of like, I'll give you a personal example. I don't know how to swim. To be honest, I drowned when I was in 3rd grade. Okay, I went to a swimming pool and I drowned, and ever since that, I have a fear of swimming. And eventually what has happened, that has given me a fear of water also. I get very scared. I don't want to go into water. I don't want to see a water body. When I see rivers only, I get this overwhelming anxiety, right? So I have just developed this fear in my head. But recently, I went out with my family and there was a swimming pool and some of my cousins were there and they taught me how to swim. Now I held a ball and I was just like, batting my legs and trying to go forward. I didn't succeed much. It was not that great, of course. Like, I tried my best. But you know what happened? I actually no longer am scared of water. So if I go underneath the pool also, I don't get this fear ki I'm going to drown, right? So if you see, what has happened is that my initial fear of the fact that I will drown and life is going to be scary and this is the end and all that, that has gone, right? That has gone over, which is what you need to think about heredity. Heredity, may some once or twice you would have gotten scared, some once or twice you would have got wrong answers. Does not mean that you have that fear. Go over it, right? Try, attempt. There will be one time when you're going to get it right and things are going to be fun. Yes? Channel vlog is like, ma'am, come to the topic. We don't want to know your story. ठीक है, no problem. Okay. Coming back, important topics that you need to keep in mind, right? Ma'am, it's sad, but it's inspiring. Yeah, I have lots of funny stories like that. Lots of funny stories from my childhood. You guys will laugh so much. You're like, this ma'am is one comedy only. Okay, so now let's get started, everybody. So now, of course, as you all know, main topics, right, is accumulation of variation during reproduction, our favorite monohybrid, dihybrid cross. Then, of course, laws of inheritance. These are three things, right? These are three things which we need to keep in mind, along with which sex determination, right? Sex determination that is there is going to be very important, which you will get for 3 marks or you will get for 5 marks also. Yes? So this right here is going to be very important. Ma'am, 15 minutes for story towards the end. Yeah, I'll tell you some funny stories towards the end about my school life and all that. I'll try to come up with something in mind anyway. Somebody's like, ma'am, मुझे नहीं पढ़ना इस टीचर से. अरे, I've had a very comic life, but at the same time I was good at my studies. I'm doing what you need. No, that is what matters. Chalo, let's get started, everybody. Now this is a question that I've already done, but this is for students who went wrong then and for those of you who may potentially go wrong now. A recessive homozygote is crossed with a heterozygote of the same gene. What will be the phenotype of the F1 generation? Yes? Okay. Arey, no, it's fine to laugh. The reason why I tell you all this is so that you laugh only. I don't feel bad with, see, there are things when I don't get offended, but sometimes I do feel bad with some of the comments that come. But when I tell you these kind of stories, my intent is to make you laugh only. I tell everybody here and in office as well. But it's just that sometimes I don't get time with all of you guys to tell these stories, no? So half the time I don't get the time, that's it. I knew this. A, B, C. Describe an experiment to do hydrotropism. But now it's going to be very difficult for me to explain that bit. Ritika, let me know in the comments. I'll give you the answer for that. Okay, because I've done with control coordination, so I'll give you the answer in the comments. Now, what is a homozygote? A homozygote is one which will either have similar parent, like it will have a similar pair of alleles, right? Which means that it could either be a dominant pair or it could be a recessive pair. Now, what have they given? A recessive pair. So, a recessive homozygote is crossed with a heterozygote. That means that it is dissimilar. That means it will be one dominant, one recessive. So now when you do the Punnett square, what are you going to get? So you have this here and you have this here. So based on this, right? I'm just quickly writing it down so it makes it easy. What are you getting? You are getting 50% where it is heterozygous dominant, right? And we see that 50% here is homozygous recessive, which means what? The answer should be option C, right? Where we have 50%. We have 50% dominant and 50% recessive. I have solved this question and I'm doing this again because many of you still get confused with what is homozygote, what is heterozygote. So we're quickly recalling that part of it, right? Okay, very good. Now let's move on to the next one, which is assertion reason question. In humans, if gene B is responsible for black eyes and gene B is responsible for brown eyes, then the color of the eyes in the progeny having combination BB, BB or small b will all be black only. Reason being that black color of the eye is a dominant trait. This is very direct question. Those of you Okay, many of you are saying, ma'am, explain. See, Heredity one shot, our environment one shot, they are all available on our channel. You can watch that videos, they are definitely there. If you need Heredity chapter explanation, Ankita ma'am's one shot is there. My one shot video is there. Both are available, right? Yes. See, now they're saying that there is a gene which says capital B, which is for black eyes, right? Then we have a small letter b, which is for brown eyes. So we know that any kind of, if a gene is represented with capital letter, we know that this is the dominant trait, right? And when does the dominant trait express itself? In homozygous condition and in heterozygous condition. But when will the recessive trait express itself? The recessive trait will only express itself in the homozygous recessive condition. So can I say that even if it is small b, it will be black? No, the statement is false. But black eye is a dominant trait. Of course, this is true, which is why the correct answer is option D, where A is true and B. A is false and R is true. Now I have one more question. I think this is an NCERT question. So we have a Mendelian experiment which was constructed which consisted of breeding tall pea plants bearing violet flowers with short pea plants bearing white flowers. The progeny all bore violet flowers, but almost half of them were short. This suggests that the genetic makeup of the tall parent can be depicted as what? What is the answer to this? Sanjani, homozygous means it is a similar pair of alleles. So capital B, small b, they all represent alleles. So when it is a similar pair, that is when we say it is homozygous. Hetero means it is going to be dissimilar, where it is one capital B and one small b, right? Okay. What is autosomes? Autosomes are the first 22 pairs of chromosomes that are similar in both males and females, right? Shri, I hope I have answered your question. Climate lesson, bacha, see, like I said, because of my voice, it is becoming very difficult, right? So I'll try my best. I'll tell you what has happened to my voice also towards the end. But the sooner, the better, right? Okay. Now what have they said? We have our parents given to us, right? So these are our parents, where we have tall plants with violet flowers crossed with short plants with white flowers, right? Now what are they saying? They're saying that the progeny that I ended up getting, right, had all violet flowers. All were violet. But what happened? We saw that some were tall, and they are also saying almost half of them were short, which means that 50% was tall with violet, 50% was short with violet. Now here one thing we can understand is if it has to be short and white. So short and white are our recessive traits. So this will express only in its homozygous condition, right? Now they are saying all are violet. That means that the violet trait is in its homozygous condition, right? I mean, it is homozygous dominant. Because if everything has to be violet, that means that on crossing, my progeny all have this, right? My progeny all have this, which is why even in heterozygous condition, violet flowers we are able to see. But what about this trait, tallness and short? Tallness. If I have to get 50% tall and 50% dwarf, that means that this is in heterozygous condition, right? So only when it is in heterozygous condition, I will get 50% offsprings as tall and 50% dwarf. So they are asking the genetic makeup of the tall parent. So they are asking what is the genetic makeup of the tall parent, which is why we see that the correct answer here is option C, which is capital T, small t, capital W, capital W. So are we all clear? Yes? Are we clear with this question? Sahodaya revision, don't worry. Okay. Now I'll go on to an easy one, wherein what is the probability of a girl being born in a family, right? Ma'am, while solving the answer, it is easy. But when we do it alone, it is tough. Why? Not really, Latika. Normally what happens is when you are solving with somebody, you have confidence on the other person, right? So when you guys are solving with me, you have confidence in me that, okay, if I'm doing it with ma'am, I'm able to get it correctly. But when you're doing it alone, what is happening is you are not confident about yourself. So you keep second guessing it. That is one aspect that happens. Secondly, what would happen is that maybe the kind of questions that you do when you solve alone are those questions that wherein conceptually maybe you are not feeling very confident, right? So that could also be one of the reasons. Now, what is the probability of a girl or a boy being born in a family? Justify your answer. 50-50%, this will come for 3 marks, this will come for 5 marks, right? So what are they asking you here? This is the whole concept of sex determination, right? So they are mainly asking you about sex determination. So we know that in human beings, the sex chromosomes are basically the 23rd pair which is there. So in males, we know that if you look at it, in males, we see that they have 44 plus XY. In females, we have 44 plus XX. So at the gamete level, what do we see? At the gamete level, we see that it could either be 22 plus X or it could be 22 plus Y, while all gametes in females will have 22 plus X. So we see that the sex of the baby or the gender of the baby is determined by the sperms, right, or the male chromosome. So which is why you got to do this cross and you can give a flow chart and this becomes easy, right? Okay. So in this particular case, what do we see? We see that, again, to answer a question which Sid is asking me, you are always biologically born as a boy or a girl. That is the biology of it. You cannot change that. There are many other things which have come into surface, but that has just come in 2000 very recently, right? And that is more of a psychological kind of thing for which I would not like to go into the too much of details, right? Because that could be controversial, because that is also pretty opinionated. So I'll not go into the details. Now, of course, how do you write the answer? 50% chance that it is a boy, 50% chance that it is a girl. So in this particular case, we know that during gamete formation, one copy comes from mother, one copy comes from father. So here we see that we see that in the case of males, they have XY, females have XX. If child always will receive X chromosome from mother, but if it receives Y from father, it will be a male. If it receives X from father, it is a female. So you can write these points in greater detail and draw the flow chart also, right? So you can draw the flow chart as well, and this will definitely help you out. Yes? Okay. Biologically, all gamer, you are born as a boy or a girl, right? Now, in some cases, due to some developmental issues, there could be other reasons. Yes? Okay. Now, let's go on to the next question. For some reason, I feel like we've solved more than 23 questions, okay? I feel like the numbering has gone wrong somewhere or the other. Just give me 1 minute. We have so we had 7 questions, 6 from this. We had 7 from control coordination. That's about 13. 13, then of course, I'm just going to quickly check, okay, because I feel like we're solving more. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, okay. Now we're at 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, we're 1 ahead, sorry. We're at 24 only. My bad. In between, I was just going through it. So this right here is a question. If you guys have attended my classes on heredity numericals based on Mendelian genetics, this right here was your homework question. So for those of you who have attended that, ma'am, you said 31. I know, but in between, I felt like we solved more. Please don't mind me. I'm a little bit childlike when it comes to all this counting, so don't mind. Okay, ma'am, we solved this one. Yeah, it was your homework question. We didn't solve it, but this was your homework question that I had given you, and you had all given me the answers in the comments, right? So here they're asking you, Mendel crossed a pure breed plant having round and yellow seeds. Okay. So he took round and yellow seeds and crossed it with that having wrinkled and green. And in F1, what did he get? He got and found that in F1 he got round and yellow seeds, right? So which means he's got this combination. Now when he crossed this, or he did self-bred this, so basically did dihybrid cross, he got 4 combinations, right? So he got 4 combinations where he had round and green, wrinkled and green, round and yellow, wrinkled and yellow. So in this case, they are asking you if there was a total of 2160 seeds, how many would be round and green, round and yellow, wrinkled yellow? Yes? So what do you need to do? So they have given you that there are a total of 2160, right? Okay. So let's have a look, everybody. We have round plus yellow. Then what do we have? We have round plus green. We have wrinkled plus yellow and wrinkled plus green. So how will you divide this ratio? You will divide this ratio as 9:3:3:1, right? So here when you are doing 9 by 16 of 2160 will give you dash seeds, right? Dash seeds which are round and green. Yes? Okay. Shall we go here? I will solve it. I need little more space to write the answer. Solve it jaldi say. Round plus yellow is equal to what? 9 by 16 into 2160. Okay. Yes, I'll explain. Raju, if you don't mind, can I explain it towards the end of the class? Okay, so what will this be? Are you all getting 1, 2, 1, 5? Let me check the answers. Yeah. Are you getting 1, 2, 1, 5? Yeah. Next, what do we have? We have round plus green. And we have wrinkled plus yellow. Right? Now, this will be the same because both are 3 by 16 into 2160. This is also 3 by 16 into 2160, which means you are supposed to get the same value, right? So what will you get in this? Jaldi say tell me. What are you getting? 21405. Yes, exactly. 405 here, right? 405. Last, what do we have? We have wrinkled plus green, which is nothing but 1 by 16 into 2160. So this is just directly 2160 divided by 16. What are we getting here? Last May, what are we getting? 135. Exactly. So as you all know, this is a little bit of application, right? So you are applying 9:3:3:1. But look at it. They have not given you in that combination. So first you need to identify which one would have 9, which one would have 3, which one would have 1, right? So in this case, when you are writing the answer, the answer for this would be 405. Here it will be 135. Here it is going to be 1215. And wrinkled yellow is going to be 405. So have you seen that here they have mixed and matched? Right? They have mixed and matched and given you the combination. But when you're writing dihybrid, always make it a point that you write it in order, right? Write it in order, structure the whole dihybrid cross, do the math and then give the answer. Because the answer will not come in the order of what I have written. Answer will come in the order of what I have written here, right? So are you all clear with this? Are you all clear? Okay. The next one is which ratio as established by Mendel has made you answered or have you made use of? Have you made use of in answering in part A? Which ratio have you used? Can you tell me? Which ratio have you guys used? Which is also known as what? You have made use of the 9:3:3:1 ratio. But what is that called as? You'll have to give me the other name for it. Phenotype ratio. Isn't it the dihybrid phenotypic ratio? Yes or no? Dihybrid phenotypic ratio. Because if you tell me phenotypic ratio, I have a monohybrid phenotypic ratio as well, right? And I have a dihybrid. Is it genotype? Ayushman? No, be specific. Dihybrid phenotypic ratio, which is going to be 9:3:3:1. So this right here is very important. Jia and Manish are nicely talking. Bittu Kumar also wants to know where other people are from. Bittu Kumar, don't you have exams coming? Aren't you in 10th standard? Don't you need to get good marks so that aram se you will be able to then tell people, Arey, I got so good marks. Pay attention, all of you. Pay attention. Manish Bacha, if you want to get timed out, you continue this. Okay? Yes. So everybody, this can come here for 5 marks, right? So you will get 4 marks for giving me the answer here, 1 mark here. Yes? So 5 marks totally from this particular one. Now let's go on to question number. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be question number 24, right? Question number 24, everybody, wherein this right here should be again a 4-mark question or can come for 5 marks or 3 marks also. So let's go with 3 marks for now. A cross was carried out between a pure, so let's write down what is given to us. A cross was carried between a pure tall bred plant. So we have a pure tall plant crossed with a pure dwarf plant, right? Which means what is our genotype here? Yes? What is our genotype? So this is going to be capital T, and this right here is going to be small t, small t. Now in F1, they got some progeny, right? So what are we going to get? In F1 generation, we see that all are going to be tall. So they are all heterozygous tall, right? Now they're saying later F1 was selfed with F2. That means F1 was selfed and we got the F2 generation. So here what did we get? We got our monohybrid cross basically, right? So this is what is given to us. Now they're asking you what is the phenotype of F1 generation and why, right? What is the genotype or what is the phenotype of F1 generation? What is the phenotype? We see that they're asking phenotype. That means observable characteristics. So the phenotype in F1 generation is where all are tall. Why? Because when you cross a homozygous tall plant with a homozygous recessive plant, we get a heterozygous condition where the dominant trait will always express itself. Now the next one. What is the phenotypic ratio in the F2 progeny? So in F2, we see that we get the phenotypic ratio. Phenotypic ratio as 3:1. But if the question was asking you genotype, right? If it was genotype, what will be the answer? What would be the genotypic ratio? Can you quickly tell me? Yes? What would be the genotypic ratio in this case? Very good. It would be 1:2:1, right? That would be the genotypic ratio. But since they have asked only for this, it's fine. So you will get 1 mark here, 1 mark for this, and 1 mark for telling me why F2 progeny is different from F1. Why is it that the F2 progeny is different from F1? Can you tell me? So this is simple. Why is F2 different from F1? So in F1, what do we see? In F1, we see that in this particular case, It was formed as a result of crossing of two homozygous parents. As a result, all progeny was heterozygous dominant. But when you cross two heterozygous parents, we see that there is a resurfacing of the earlier dwarf characteristics that was not expressed in F1, right? Which is why in this case, what do we see? First, when you can say all are tall, the ratio, here the answer should just be 3:1. Okay, ignore the answer. But here what are they saying? They're saying in F1 all are tall, while in F2 most were tall while some were dwarf. This is due to law of dominance. So here you will get 1 mark for the same, right? So totally you will get 3 marks for such questions when there are 3 subparts. So with this everyone, if you see, we are done. We are done with 4 bada chapters, right? 4 very big chapters we are done with. And as you all know, last chapter that we have is our environment. Now our environment says sure short 5 marks can come. This can come from what I've been observing in the past few papers is that you can get assertion reason questions. 1 2-mark question can come and 1 3-mark question normally 3-mark questions can come. So what do we see? We see that either 5 marks to 6 marks will come for sure from in this particular chapter, which is our environment, right? Okay. So now with this, everybody take a 2-minute water break, right? Before we do the last chapter, shall we take a 2-minute water break? In the meanwhile, to all my beautiful spammers and distracted students, you are about to get blocked. So give me 2 minutes, take a water break, and we will come back. Okay. Yeah, I hope that we are back, right? I hope you guys took a good break. I just walked around a little bit and I came back. After our environment, I don't have a paper ready with me, but I think we can circulate it by tomorrow, right? By tomorrow, we will circulate a test as well for grade 10 10th graders, where you can give a test as well. We will put it on the community post and we will also do it on the Telegram channel as well, right? Okay. So now, of course, students, last leg of today's class, right? Today's last leg, where all we need to do is to have a look at the chapter Our Environment. Like I said, ecosystem, its components, food chain, 10% energy law. Please don't skip this topic. Pakka, you will get a 2-mark question. And of course, as you all know, ozone depletion, its causes, effects, all of this is very important. And waste management, right? No problem, Latika. All the very best. And I hope that you found today's session helpful. If you did, let me know how your science exam goes tomorrow in the comments of this video. I'll definitely check it out, right? So based on this, let's get started, everybody. Don't mind the animation going here and there. So you have 4 options from which you need to tell me which is the mismatched pair, and you need to correct it. Biomagnification is the accumulation of chemicals at a successive trophic level in a food chain. Ecosystem, which includes the biotic components of the environment. Aquarium is a man-made ecosystem. Parasites are organisms which obtain food from other living organisms. So which right here is a mismatched pair? Easy, right? Very good. So in this case, the correct answer is option B, which is ecosystem. Because ecosystem is not, see, what is biomagnification? Biomagnification is the accumulation of chemicals. So if there is chemicals which has gotten accumulated at one level, it will successively get accumulated, and it will keep getting accumulated at every trophic level, right? Aquarium, as we know, is a man-made ecosystem. And of course, we know that parasites are those organisms which mainly obtain food from other living organisms. But what is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is where both biotic and abiotic components of the environment are there, which interact with each other. Which is why in this case, the correct answer is option B. Very good. Now let's go on to question number 26, which is assertion reason. Again, I'm telling you this right here is very important because we've seen assertion reason coming from this particular chapter as well. Assertion statement says that the energy which passes to the herbivores does not come back to the autotrophs. Reason being that the flow of energy in a food chain is unidirectional. What do you think is the answer? Devang, if you keep saying reply me, what is it that you want me to reply? Call your name. Did you ask a doubt that I missed? Then send that to me. Easy, right? So we're talking about the concept of flow of energy, right? So here what do we see? We see that at every trophic level, let's look at T1, T2 and T3. So here we know that autotrophs occupy T1 level, trophic level 1, and herbivores occupy trophic level 2. So they're saying that energy, if it goes from T1 to T2, how will it go from T1 to T2? When the herbivores eat the plants. They're saying it can go from T1 to T2 but cannot go from T2 to T1. Why? Because we see that flow of energy is unidirectional. Have you ever seen a plant eating a cow? No, right? But we've seen cows eat plants. So in this particular case, we see that the correct answer is option A. That both statements are true and A or R is the correct explanation for A, right? So correct answer is option A. Now let's have a look at question number 27, and this right here is a 2-mark question. Now we have the earth given, a certain layer P, and then we have sunlight. Now state the essential function performed by layer P at higher levels of the atmosphere. Yes. What is a function of layer P? Not really. Assertion reason can be tricky. Who are a Jat? What is this? Are you a 10th grade student? If you are, you pay attention in class. Then you start looking at other things. Arey, life is left and you're like, what is this? Yeah, simple. Layer P, earth and all they've given. What is layer P? Layer P is nothing but ozone, right? What is the function of ozone? We know that the ozone layer is part of our stratosphere. What does it do? It protects us from the harmful UV radiations, right? So what does it do? It protects us from the harmful UV rays of the sun. Now here we see that why was there a sharp drop in the amount of ozone in the atmosphere during the 1980s. What happened during the 1980s? That there was a sharp drop in the ozone layer or in the amount of ozone. Or what caused that? That Ayushman, that is there to confuse you. That is actually representing the troposphere. Exactly. There was a rise in use of CFCs, which is your chlorofluorocarbons, that was depleting this, right? So when you're writing the answer, layer P is the ozone layer. Please don't forget to mention that, right? What does it do? It protects us from harmful UV radiations, and how, you know, if the UV radiations were allowed to pass, that can happen, or that can have an impact, right? Now what happened in 1980s? There was a large production of synthetic chemicals like chlorofluorocarbons, which were used as fire extinguishers and refrigerants. So 1 mark for this and 1 mark for this, right? Okay. Next up, this is a 2-mark question. In the following food chain, we see that we have plant, rat, snake, and hawk, right? So they are asking you, if plants provide 500 joules of energy to the rats, right? Then how much energy will be available to the hawk? Yes? Aerosols, yes, nay. Mainly you can write refrigerants, enough. How 0.5? Who's giving me 0.5 as the answer? Okay, I have a question. Is 500 joules in the plant, or will you give 500 joules to the rat? What is told to you? That plants will provide 500 joules of energy to the rat, which means that rat is getting 500 joules. Don't take 500 under plants, right? So here rat has 500 because they're saying that rat is getting 500 from the plant, right? So 500 joules is for the rat, which means in this case what will happen? We see that plant is actually producing 5000 joules of energy, but rat is getting only 500, which means how much will snake get? Snake will get only 50 joules, hawk will have only 5 joules. So here it depends on reading the question. That's why I underlined. We see that it is providing 500, or it is getting only 500 joules. So how much energy will be available to hawk from snake? 5 joules of energy, right? So you can elaborate it or do this calculation. You will get 2 marks for the same. Yes? Now second last question. State with any reason, or state with reason any 2 possible consequences of the fact that if I get rid of decomposers, right? If I get rid of decomposers from the earth, what will happen? So when you talk about decomposers, we know that decomposers that are there, right? We know that they are the ones who are responsible for decomposing. Yes, they are responsible for decomposing the dead and decaying matter. And we know that living organisms all across the world that are there at one point finish their lifespan and they die. But we know that it's not like a pile of dead organisms in one spot, right? Eventually what will happen? We see that they will all come down, or they will be mixed with the earth. And we know that decomposers, when they decompose or they break it down into simpler nutrients, what will happen? Those nutrients are also necessary for the growth of organisms, which is why what will happen? If decomposers are not there, there would be no recycling of nutrients, right? And there would be accumulation of dead organisms like dead plants and animals, which could have an impact, right? So 2 points if you write here, you will get 2 marks. Yes? Are we all clear, students? Are we all clear? Or have we all gotten distracted? Okay. Last question for today, which is going to be a case-based question. So they're talking about how food is a fuel that gives us energy. We get it from various components, and autotrophs do this. It's converted to chemical energy. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Okay. Now what have they asked us? This is a 4-mark question, right? 1 mark for telling me what is a food chain. What is a food chain? Food chain is a linear sequence of who eats who, or a series or a linear series of in which we see of how one organism feeds on the other, right? At various biotic levels, and how there is transfer of energy. 1 mark. Next up, give an example of any one terrestrial food chain. Give any one example. You can write any example down. You will get 1 mark. But terrestrial, so don't write fish and what do you say, shark and stuff like that. You will lose marks. They want to know on land, right? So that's why, please, terrestrial is important. Next, what do we have? What is the feature of food chains? What is unique about food chains? 2 things. We know that there is energy flow from one trophic level to the other, and we know that this energy flow is unidirectional, right? So these are 2 points that we need to keep in mind. Then the last point that we have is what is meant by biomagnification or biological magnification. Pond की food chain के बारे में नहीं पता. Don't write also, right? Because they've asked you about what is happening on land. Last is, what is biomagnification? How there is accumulation of toxic substances from one trophic level to the next. That is what we call as biomagnification. So with this, students, if you've come with me right from the beginning till the very end of this class, we have solved 30 questions, right? And as you all know, these were not 30 very essay chunnu questions, right? These were 30 very interesting questions, some easy, some moderate, some difficult, some competency. But what I want you to understand is that your paper is going to come like this, right? Your paper is going to come this way. So very quickly, I have a homework question for all of you, which I need you all to let me know in the comments of this video. In the following food chain, 100 joules of energy is available to the lion. How much energy was available to the producers? Let me know in the comments, right? So I will be checking your answers and you need to let me know in the comments of this video. And a quick reminder, I will be pinning the links for all the session PDFs, notes and important questions as well in the comments, and I will also pin it in the description. So maybe by tomorrow, right, it's gotten a little late. By tomorrow, 12 o'clock, it should be available for all of you. Don't tell the answer now. You should tell me in the comments, right? Okay. So with this, everybody, we come to the end of today's class, right? Now, as you all know, your board exams are coming in. They're all closing in very soon. So we're going to start picking up the pace in terms of your teaching, right? So please make sure that you're all being very regular to class. See, we always want to give you value add classes. Anything where you feel like, ma'am, I sat 3 hours with you and I feel so good about it, then that's what that matters, right? Okay, ma'am, your story. Do you want to listen to a funny story or do you want to listen to a very serious story? What do you want to listen to? Because I have many, right? School mein se to I have many. You tell me based on that. All the best. Ma'am, serious story. Ma'am, we are very... Ma'am, both. Funny, obviously. Okay. This one I remember. I don't know. But either ways. So, this could be a little scary also. So, when I was young, right? Let me guess. So, if you guys have watched my Tea with Tarana episode, you all get to know that I really love dancing, right? So I really love to dance, and right from young itself, like my mother's also a dancer, so she enjoys dancing. So what happened, I started going for dance classes. So she said, go learn Bharatnatyam class. So all of you go for Bharatnatyam classes. She sent me to Bharatnatyam class, and this was like when I was in 1st grade or 2nd grade. And I used to be very lazy. I used to cry when I want to go. No, I will not go. I'm not going to do this. And nonetheless, I used to still participate. So in school, what happened was there was an inter-house dance competition that was happening, and I was in this blue house, okay? This blue house was always losing, so I was like, no, I need to make it a point that I take part in this. And in 2nd standard, I remember I danced for Dola Re Dola, and I had that whole, outfit. I wore ghagra and everything, and I danced for that. But in 2nd grade, when I was getting ready, so my mom had put this, fake hair and everything, you tie and you go, no? You imagine, first of all, I had short hair and she's put this very heavy wig on me and my head is like this the whole time because that's how heavy it is, right? And I kept walking like this the whole time and it's sitting on one weird balance. So after lunch break is when the dance competition is going to happen, and just before that, for fun, my friend decides to pull, right? She decides to pull the wig. Now you imagine all that effort and the wig comes out and I have this chotu hair, okay? All my hair has come out and all my makeup is gone. I started crying. I felt very bad. It's like, oh no, my dance is gone. I'll not do well. Second standard, okay? I'm crying for the lamest things. Then finally I went, I danced, I did whatever I felt like. Then there was one more friend of mine. You see how mean I was also. She was dancing for that Nibuda, 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 that song, and she wanted me to throw the Nimbu at her. And she told me, throw essay slowly. Now I'm already furious that my dance has gotten spoiled. Now unknowingly I sabotaged her dance also. When she asked me to throw, I threw it with so much force that I hit her on her head. Like I say, put, I threw the Nimbu. She's waiting to catch it. It just hit her on her head like this. And she paused for a minute and then she continued dancing. Everybody else they were all sitting down in the auditorium. They all started laughing. She felt so bad and she's like, no, I'll never ask you to do this. So, yeah, I've done that. So in third grade, what they did, no? They took my clothes and they hid it. So I had to go to school and change. So before my dance competition, they hid my clothes. And they like, go dance in school uniform. And you get disqualified if you dance in school uniform. So in third grade, I got disqualified. So I couldn't dance. Tell your scariest experience. The scariest must be when I did paragliding. So I went recently, so I'm scared of heights, okay? You imagine I'm like the most non-adventurous person up until, let's say, 2 years back, where I was scared of heights, I was scared of water, I'm scared of anything moving, all these, rides and everything in amusement parks, I'm terrified of it. I'm like one 50-year-old at heart. So I did paragliding, okay? And they were like, see, you've come all the way to Manali, you have to do paragliding, this is once in a lifetime experience. And my friends convinced me to do it. Now, when you do paragliding, it's from a height, right? It's from a cliff. So we're going up, 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 up. It's not getting over at all. Like, I feel like I'm at the top of a mountain. And then so of course, they're all professionals who will help you do this, right? This is funny and scary. So I went all the way to the top. And there are like these professionals who will come with you. So we were 4 of us and 4 professionals, paragliders who were there. They're all instructors. So one guy came with me and the others went with the other people. Now what happened was, you have to, when you paraglide, no, you have to jump off the cliff, right? You have to jump so that you can like fly in the air. I'm literally at a cliff. And I saw that and I started crying. I'm like, no, bhaiya, nahi hoga. I can't do this. I can't. And I just sat down and I started crying. That man didn't know what to do. He was like, oh, calm down. It's okay. It happens. You get scared. Like, it's fine, it's okay. And he's trying to calm me down. He's like, what do you do? What is your job? And I was like, I'm a teacher. And he's like, what will your kids think of you and all that? I'm like, oh yeah, I have to be adventurous for them. Otherwise I need to have a story. Then somehow he calmed me down. But after that, there's one more guy who supports you. Okay, we're at a cliff, you imagine. Then he puts the gear and the protective gear and everything. And finally, he's like, jump. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, what? He's like, jump. I was like, no. And he's like, okay, run and take this one. I was like, I am not doing this. There is no ramp to run, okay? It is air. Legit, it is like, it is this and air. That's it. I'm falling. There is no running. It is falling after that. And I'm just terrified and I'm staring at him. He's like, run. Then finally, they dragged my hand. They're like, this girl is not going to listen. And they pushed me and I did it. In the end, somehow I was like terrified and really scared, but I went with like proper instructors and everybody, so it was all safe and good. But yes, I did it. Now, when I was doing this, on the other side, I told you 3 of my friends are there. No, the 3 of my friends are fighting with the instructors. They're like, we cannot let her go alone. She is, very scared. She has, she has fear of heights. So, we can't let her go alone. We need to be there as a support. So they're fighting with the instructor so that either I can come this side and do the paragliding activity or somebody comes with me. Now, as they are fighting, you imagine they're quarreling there. I'm going, wee, I have jumped and I'm doing, I'm the first one to go. And the instructors are like, you mean that girl who's already mid-air, who's paragliding and going? And my friends were just looking at me and they're like, we can't trust this at all. But yeah. Anyway, these are some of my funniest experiences. I have many more. But whatever you do, right? Like I said, whatever you do, whatever it is, always take a learning from it. See, from all this, I'll only tell you one thing, right? Not my second standard story, which did not have much of a takeaway, but from this paragliding story, I always tell you is you got to face your fears. And I've been the strongest believer of whatever it is, exams, life may, whatever happens, there is no running away, right? You can't run away. How much will you run away? At one point, you only need to face it. It's scary, it'll be horrible, but it's uncomfortable. But you grow, right? It next time when you do it, it becomes less scary. Yes? So with this, everybody, I come to the end of today's class. Now, like I said, tomorrow I do know that I have a geography mentee scheduled with all of you. But in case, due to my health and due to my voice, considering I was not supposed to take 3 hours of class, but nonetheless, because I've taken a long hour class, in case my voice does not recover, I may not be able to take tomorrow's class. So I'm giving you a heads up that in case if it gets cancelled, that's a quick heads up for all of you. Yes? So everybody, as you all know, I will try my best not to cancel the class, but I hope that all of my voice gets better. How did I get sick? I have a condition called as laryngitis, where my voice box itself is having some trouble. So I need to take a lot of medication, do a lot of exercises to get it back to normal. So I have laryngitis at this point, right? So that is why classes wise I may or may not be able to take tomorrow, so I'm giving you a heads up. So thank you so much everybody for staying with me till the very end. I hope you enjoyed this class, and let me tell you lots and lots of more interesting things coming your way, so you know BYJU'S is the place to be. So thank you so much everybody, hoping to see you all soon. Don't forget to give me the answers in the comments of this video. I will see you all soon, but up until then, take care, lots of love to all of you, and bye bye and good night.